Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another episode of the Frozen Sodium Throne. I believe this is episode 27, but I already closed the window, so therefore I can't really confirm it, but it should be 27. Accolonn, how are you doing, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for asking. And yes, I think it is 27. We have a lot to talk about today. It's been a busy week. Although, it's been busy for a whole lot of reasons. And not all of it gaming. Well, all of it related to gaming, but not all of it new games.
For me,
wild. It's weird.
For me, it's been a busy week because I've been playing World of Warcraft like a friggin' degenerate, but, you know, that's just been me.
Yeah. I've been, whatever time I've had that wasn't spent in the dark due to no electricity, I have spent playing the game. And it's fun. It is super fun. I guess that's the first thing that I would like to know from you. I asked this exact same question during the Patreon podcast yesterday, but I would love to know from you. If there is one element of World of Warcraft Dragonflight where you can see the game failing, what element would that be? So if you were to highlight, like, for example, in Shadowlands, you could have looked at Torghast, you could have looked at the Conduit system, you could have looked at the Covenant system, all of that, and you could have picked one and said that's where it's failing. Which one would you say Dragonflight? What's its weak link?
So, the weak link that I still have with Dragonflight, there's like two things that I can still point to the game. These are like old things, though. These are not things that come specifically with Dragonflight, so I don't know if it's really worth mentioning, because like with Dragonflight, I don't really see a problem with the game, and the thing is, I went into Dragonflight specifically looking for it. Because, like, you know, I was burned in BFA, I was well burned in Shadowlands, so when I came into Dragonflight, I specifically said, look, I like talking about this game. If I'm going to talk about the game, I need to play the game, and I will report on all of the bad shit that I found. That was like my thing. I'm going in to see if they actually changed anything or if it's still a piece of trash. And it's been something that happened, which it hasn't happened in a really long time, but every single time that I'm not playing the game, I'm kind of thinking about playing the game. And then when I'm done playing the game, I leave the game and I'm like, damn, that was fun. Whereas in Shadowlands, every time that I would leave the game, I'd be like, man, fuck this bullshit, dude. I can't. Like, god damn, dude.
Yeah.
Even the quest lines have been fun, even though, you know, story isn't really the main reason why I play, but the story was good enough, at least, which a lot of people have asked me, because I've said, look, this is one of the best expansions that they've done for a very, very long time. Like, I would put this potentially up to Wrath of the Lich King as a really good expansion. The thing is, Wrath of the Lich King has a better story, I feel like. The stuff that happens in Wrath of the Lich King, story-wise, is more interesting than what we've seen so far in the Dragon Isles. Yeah. You wouldn't disagree, right?
I would say it's not necessarily a fair comparison, because Wrath of the Lich King was really the ending of a story that started many years before. Whereas Dragonflight is the beginning of, So it's kind of like if you were to compare Endwalker to fucking ARR, you know? Yeah. It's not quite fair because they serve two very different purposes. But yeah, I would 100% back you on that. I think it's perfectly fine to say that it's on par with Wrath of the Lich King. It's very similar in terms of the feel, in terms of how it's playing out, how the expansion is playing out. And you said something that's very important there. The whole, once you finish playing, you actually feel like you had fun. Yeah. So I remember in the beginning streaming Shadowlands, and I actually stopped streaming Shadowlands very early on. So I actually quit streaming Shadowlands probably within like the first week or so of actually playing it. I was done streaming it and we went back to just React content and sort of just chatting stuff and so on and so forth. And I would sort of play offline more often than not. And I remember, like, literally before every stream, I would feel this burden. I would be like,
I have to go stream this now.
Yeah, this wasn't when I was hating on Shadowlands. I wasn't yet hating it, but I wasn't excited for it. Yeah. It was more just a case of, okay, I fucking have to stream this now. Okay, it's fine. Let's just do this. And then, of course, within like a few months, I reached the point where I was like, fucking hell, dude, I don't want to see this game at all. Whereas this time around, I'm actually excited. I will start my stream sometimes earlier than I plan to, just so that I can get to playing the game earlier than what I planned to, because I really like playing it. And afterwards, I'm usually a little sad, because right now, I don't get to choose when I end my streams. My country chooses that for me. And so I usually sit here after I've switched everything off, and I'm like, bro, just another hour would have been fucking great. I just want to play for another hour, and then you can turn off the electricity. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
It's been, and the thing is, it's not even like you're playing it, and it used to be that thing of like the 3 pillars where you do the PvP, or you do you do raiding, or you do Mythic Plus, and those are the 3 things that you're supposed to do. There's so much more to do now, and so many things that are actually meaningful to do now and can actually progress your character as well. And the fact that there is no borrowed power, like a lot of people might think, oh, well, no borrowed power, that's not really as big of a deal as it is. Let me tell you the difference. The difference is that in previous expansions, I got to play 1 spec in the time that I have available to me. I got to play 1 spec. That was it. Because you'd have to do all of this stupid bullshit to get everything that you needed. In Dragonflight, I've been playing Prot, I've been playing Fury, and I've even been doing PvP, which I haven't done in God knows how long, and it's been fun. Because all of the game is just open. There's nothing like closing you down to doing one specific thing. And so I'm just like, I'm just doing everything. I've been doing Mythic Plus' Fury, Mythic Plus' Prot, and the class has been good, which this is like one of the rarest things. The warrior class is good at the start of an expansion. I'm like, bro, how did you achieve this black magic? How did you do this? What is the secret?
I would say the class design has actually surprised me. Just the level of class balance. It seems to be a lot more balanced than it has been in the past. Because in the past, you would usually have like completely dead specs and sometimes even dead classes. I haven't heard any complaints about that yet. Of course, there's always going to be people complaining. But I haven't heard of anyone saying, oh, this spec is just completely unplayable. There's nothing we can do about it. So I think that's incredibly exciting. And I do think you touch on a very important topic of conversation, and something that a lot of people might not understand the importance of. The ability to, and this is going to sound almost counterintuitive, but the ability to be bored in playing a video game. And I don't mean the bad kind of bored. I mean the kind of bored where, okay, I've done everything I needed to do. What do I do now because I want to continue playing?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll play another spec, or maybe I'll go PvP, or maybe I'll go do this thing that I've never wanted to do before because I didn't have time, or maybe the thing that I've always wanted to do but I never had time to do. It's so important, especially in an MMO, to sort of spread your wings and experience the game in all facets of it. And of course, for those who don't care, they don't have to. You know, if you don't give a shit about like doing anything else in the game, let's say you're just a Mythic Plus player and you couldn't care less about anything else, well, then go outside and touch some grass, bro. Like, once you've done your Mythic Plus, just fucking move on.
But here's the thing. That is actually a very important thing, which is if you're just a Mythic Plus player, guess what? You just have to do Mythic Plus. You don't have to do anything else, because like I'm a Mythic Plus player. I love doing Mythic Plus when my friends are online. I don't really do too much pugging, but like if my friends are online, I'm like, dude, let's go knock out some Mythic Plus. Let's go. And in Shadowlands, you couldn't just do that. It's like, okay, you want to do Mythic Plus? First, you got to go do your Maw dailies. Then you got to go do whatever bullshit your Covenant wants you to do. Then you got to go do whatever world quest to get some anima power to power your fucking conduits. Then you got to go grind your conduits somewhere. Some of you will have conduits in raids. Some of you will have conduits in specific dungeons. Some of you will have conduits that spawn out of a special world quest that only spawns once on a fucking full moon. Right?
Yeah.
And that sucked because you were constantly stressing out about, okay, what thing do I need to be doing right now? Whereas you log into Dragonflight and you're like, what thing do I feel like doing right now? Do I want to go do Mythic Plus? I just go do Mythic Plus. Boom, done. No problem. Like that's literally what I did. Like the second that I got to not when I got to 70, the second that season 1 opened up, like my very first stream, I was like, well, Mythic Plus time, baby. It's just like I just went in, didn't look at anything else, just did my Mythic Plus. And then after I did some Mythic Plus, and I was like, that was cool. Now I'm like, let me check out what's happening out in the world and whatnot, and just see what's going on. And that was just really good.
I think it's like World of Warcraft feels like it's returning to its roots. It's returning to what an MMO should be, and an MMO, especially if you have a theme park MMO, should be a theme park. And it feels for the first time in a very long time like we're back in the theme park. There are all these rides, and all these rides have been developed for you, but you're not forced to go on 5 different fucking rides before you can finally go on the ride that you wanted. Like, you walk into Shadowlands or BFA and you go, right, I want to go on the roller coaster. And like, no. Before you can go on the roller coaster, you need to go on the swings. And like, okay, I'll go on the swings and then I go on the roller coaster. And like, no. Before you can go on the swings, you need to go on the teacups. And like, yeah, but I don't want to go on the teacups. Like, yeah, but you also can't just go straight on the teacups. You first have to go to the fucking go-kart track, drive twice, and then you have to go to the fucking Ferris wheel. Exactly. You have to do that 5 times, and then you can go to the teacups. But once you're done with the teacups, you won't have enough power to actually go on the fucking swings. So before you can go on the swings, you have to go back to the go-kart track. Then you go on the fucking swings. Then you can go to the big roller coaster. And you're like, okay, so now I can just ride the roller coaster? No. That's weekly, bro. You're like, what the fuck? I just want to go on the roller coaster. Like, I don't want to do any of this other shit. So it's nice to see that Blizzard have finally realized, wait a second, it's fine to have a lot of rides, but it's up to the player which rides they want to go on. And I think we can already see the results of that. Most people are incredibly excited, and most people are having fun. I haven't seen a single negative thing, at least from the people that I would say matter. Like, there's been a couple of people on the forums. We actually discussed one yesterday. A guy that said that Dragonflight is already dead for solo players. Like, the guy made an entire post explaining that the game is dead for solo players, and solo players will just find out that the game forces you to group with people. And then he goes on to say that you can't kill rares solo, and that's why solo players can't play the game. And I'm like, okay, even if that is true, it's called a rare for a reason. It's
for starters, rare. You can kill rares. You probably, with certain specs, won't be able to kill the super rare solo. And guess what? Yeah. You're not supposed to. That's why it's called an MMO. A massively multiplayer online game means you won't be able to do every single thing by yourself.
Yeah, however, there's enough things that you can do by yourself, but every once in a while you will have to group.
Yeah, you have to. There's no getting around that. It's a multiplayer game. Like, well, what do you expect? But it's an interesting thing about the people that have the notion that, like, oh, it's already dead. I've already done all the content. There's nothing left to do. For starters, this had way more shit to do than Shadowlands did, because you could do more things in Shadowlands, I guess, but they were way less interesting, way more repetitive, and just like bad overall, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas now you can actually just do things that are fun, and if you're the type of player that has actually managed to do everything, then you probably need to get an alt or something, because I've been playing almost every single moment of free time that I have, which, let's be real, it's more free time than most people that have like a 9 to 5 or something like that. Yeah. Even though it is a little bit more limited than the full-on degens, because I still have a family and need to do family time and shit like that. But I've been playing a ton of time, and I haven't completed all of the world quests. I haven't done everything that I want to do. Not even close. I don't think
anyone has.
No, but there's people that I believe will actually, get everything done. But if you're that kind of a player, you need to understand that, like, you need to get a couple of alts. Like, just get a couple of alts and then do the shit again and have fun. Because there's no game that is ever going to come out and going to be like, oh, I have infinite content for you, unless it's an infinitely scaling treadmill that was Shadowlands, unless that's what you want. Yeah. And if that's what you want, then you can go play another fucking game. Like, listen, go play a Korean grinder, bro. There's a million games. Go play Lost Ark. then you can grind until your eyes bleed, bro. Okay? Go play Lost Ark. This is not what we want. And I just wanted to bring one more thing up, which is the world quest. You remember how Blizzard was talking about potentially making the world quest daily? And I know that some people are going to wildly disagree with this, but I'm so happy they didn't do it. Because if they did it, I'd be constantly like stressing out over, is there a good world quest that I need to do right now? I also want to do this other one, but I don't have time. I have to pick and choose. Whereas right now, I go into the game, I open the map, and I'm like, I don't care about these right now, or maybe there's one or two. And then if I feel like completing them, then before they respawn, I can just go in and I'm like, okay, now I'm just going to go degen mode and complete a bunch of these before they go away. But it just gives you time to do whatever the fuck you want, which is why I've been playing around with, let me try out a Fury spec. Let me try out a bunch of different PvP specs. Like, I've spent so much time just looking at my talent tree, which is something that makes me really happy, because whenever they changed the talent trees to be the 3 selections, I was like, this bullshit, this fucking sucks. There's almost no fucking theory craft to be done here, because this system is hot garbage. Whereas now I'm constantly like, oh man, but I could swap this talent over here and then swap that thing over there. And there's always a mathematically best thing on the most perfect imaginable scenario. Obviously. But the thing that a lot of people don't understand anymore, because they've been so conditioned to this mathematical thing, that some people don't understand the value of comfort in a spec that you're comfortable playing. Because I will tell you right now, there's a lot of players that like, you'll pick a meta spec and you'll deal like 10,000 damage. And then you'll pick a non-meta spec, but with skills that you're more comfortable using, and all of a sudden you're pumping 30k or something like that, which isn't even that much. But you can 3x your damage by simply playing a spec that you're comfortable with. And a lot of people don't understand this concept. They're like, no, I need to just get the meta build, and I need to learn to play the meta build. And it's like, no, you don't need to get the meta build, because it's actually fairly balanced. I was testing this out with Fury, and a lot of the times I was getting better results with builds that I was simply more comfortable playing, and decent enough results too. So it's like, you can actually experiment with the game, as opposed to just like, no, I'm going to go to Wowhead, I'm going to grab my build, and I'm good. And no, don't do that.
I would say, in my opinion, there's always going to be cookie cutters, like you said, but there are enough talents that isn't just straightforward throughput, even in the damage side of things, that would probably be more playstyle oriented. So if you're, for example, I'll use a Warlock example here. If you are the kind of player that loves to do the sort of you love to do the tactics, right? So you love to do the soaking, and you love to do the pulling of this and the pulling of that, and whatever the case may be. You're probably gonna have a lot more utility from something like Unending Corruption, where you apply it once and you never have to worry about it again. And also something like increased dot speed, for example. You might not go into that, because while you're doing the tactics, the increased dot speed will actually allow the dots to fall off far quicker, and that could really complicate things for you. So you might actually decide to go a different path, and even though that's not the meta path, for the way you play the game, that is definitely the better way to build. So I do think that this time around, there's a lot more options than what there has ever been in the past. That doesn't mean that there's not still going to be cookie cutters, but even if you follow the cookie cutter 90% of the time, there might be talents here and there that you figure out, well, I'm really struggling with this build right now. I'm going to try and do something else instead and see if that works better. Because at the end of the day, whatever build gets you the most DPS is the best build for you. Yep. It's not about whatever build can get theoretically the best. It's about whatever build gets you the best. This is an example of this that I used to use when I did guides for Warlocks, was back in the days of Wrath. The top rogue spec, like actually subtlety rogues, were the top DPS spec in the game, like by a mile. If you wanted to do the best DPS that the game had to offer, you would play as a subtlety rogue. Here's the problem. Subtlety Rogue was only playable on a single boss that is basically tank and spank, and you're an AI. Like, it is theoretically it's only possible to play it theoretically. In the real world, it's almost impossible, or it used to be almost impossible to play subtlety in PvE. You couldn't do it in PvE. Kata, sorry, Mega Man, yeah, it was in Kata. You couldn't do it. Just absolutely was impossible to do. So if anyone followed the meta, they would be like, oh, wait, subtlety rogue? I'm going to go subtlety. And then you go bottom of the DPS log, right? You're not doing DPS at all because you can't fucking do it. There's just so many things you have to keep up that it's not doable in a raid setting. And you would have failed. So it would be far better than to go for any of the other specs, combat or assassination, because there you would actually get some shit done. And I think a lot of people are going to start learning that now, this idea of maybe it's better to build my own thing because I have this ability to do so, rather than just constantly going onto Wowhead and saying, what's the best build for my spec?
I certainly hope so, because otherwise what's going to end up happening is Blizzard's going to see, okay, what are the most used talents? And if they just see, oh, look, everybody's playing this build, that means that all the other talents are bad. And they're going to start making changes based on that. And I don't know if that is going to be a good thing, because, while there are definitely things in my tree specifically that I look at and I'm like, okay, this talent's just like kind of worthless, because there's always going to be something like that in most trees. There are actually talents that are worthless because the tree is way too complex, I think, for the number of people working on it. So, but they will figure out these things over time, hopefully.
You think it's complex now? Brian Alinka already said, this is the basic one. The idea with the next expansion is that it's getting fucking bonkers in the next expansion. He spoke to Breach, and he was like, they really wanted to play it safe with this talent tree and make sure that people still felt like they understood the talent tree and they understood how the class is going to play. Next expansion is when they're going balls to the wall and just going, right, you can build so many different ways with this. Good luck.
I wanna go back to having like this shit like Gladiator stance. Give me that. Gladiator stance is so much fun. Like,
Gladiator.
Let's go.
I played Gladiator Warrior, and God, it was cool.
Yeah.
It gave you. It almost felt like that Crusader in Diablo. Yeah. It gave you very similar like Crusader vibes. Fighting with the shield and going ham with it. Yeah, I remember that. I do think they should bring shit like that back, just because one of the reasons they removed it was first the complexity of it, but also the sort of weirdness of it, because you are a tank, but you're not a tank, but you have a shield, so listen, what the fuck are you supposed to do there?
Listen, Blizzard, but this time around, just accept it. Blizzard just needs to accept it, dude. Like, I want to do... I've been experimenting, and I'm like, bro, I want to go Mortal Strike, Sword and Board, but you can't. Yeah. Because Mortal Strike requires a two-handed weapon or something like that. And I'm like, bro, what do you mean? Let me go Mortal Strike, Sword and Board. Yeah, let me go Mortal Strike, Sword and Board. There's a couple of skills that they actually don't let you use with a one-handed shield and a one-handed weapon and a shield in the warrior. That is very frustrating, because I'm like, bro, then let me go Fury, Sword and Board, but then Rampage doesn't work. And I'm like, what do you mean? let me be a Fury warrior with a sword and shield. Why can't I do it?
Let's see what the next expansion has to offer, because it does seem like they have some wild plans for the next expansion.
I'll tell you right now, I've been making Horde lives absolutely fucking miserable throughout the open world, dude. I've been an absolute fucking... This is payback for all of the years that the Horde has harassed me when my class was shit at the start of an expansion. It's retribution time, motherfuckers. Dude, I have been slaughtering people as protection, and it's glorious. I love it because they can't fucking kill me.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call the small penis syndrome of the Alliance.
Whatever you say, bro.
They have to... Oh my God, the Horde is so much more superior. We don't have to brag about the fact that we shit on the Alliance all the time.
Let me tell you something.
Be here because we know we're good.
Let me tell you something, Accolonn. Every single time in the previous expansions that I would get ganked or whatever, I would fight to the death. Every single time. You know what what your Horde people do? The second I jump on them, they run. They run. They use all of their mobility to run away and get on their little dragons and fly away. That's all they do every single time. Not to mention, like, because sometimes people will open up on, this is hilarious. They'll open up on me and then they'll realize, shit, it's Prot. He's not going to die. And so they'll fight for a little bit and then they'll be like, well, I'm leaving now. And I'm like, no, I'm going to keep you here forever. So I'll chase them. I'm the worst, dude. It feels so good.
I don't even play with PvP on.
Listen, last night I had to go pick up my kid. And so I didn't realize what time it was. And I got involved into like a fight for a war chest. And I was like, shit, I need to go pick up my kid because I'm not leaving my kid hanging. But I was fending off 3v1, dude. And I was killing them and they were dying and coming back.
Fuck.
3v1.
Wow. Okay, so Warrior is pretty OP.
No, it's not OP. I just think that those people didn't have PvP gear, and PvP gear actually makes a massive difference now because this is a change that I think they did with Season 4 of Shadowlands. I'm not sure when they exactly implemented this because I wasn't playing during Shadowlands, but what they've done is the way that PvP gear works now, since you don't do PvP, I don't know if you know, but you get a lower item level piece of gear. So like usually through questing and stuff, it's very easy to get up to like 370. It's not too hard. 370, 360. So like a PvP piece will be like 340. Or if it's an open world PvP piece, it'll be a little bit higher so that you can also play in the open world. But like it's between 340 and like 360, something like that. But if you engage in PvP, that piece scales up to item level 400.
Oh shit. Okay, so
I'm running around. So I'm running around in this gear that it kind of sucks to do quests in, but it's like, you know, doing quests is easy anyway, so who gives a crap? And I'm playing Prot, nothing's gonna kill me anyway, so I don't care. So I'm running around in that gear, but when I start PvP, boom, item level 400. And most people are just running around in their usual gear, right? Like in their questing epics or whatever. So like their item level is going to be around 380. So I just have like, boom, 20 more item levels. And a lot of people aren't expecting that. And it's really good. So every time I'm out in the open world, I'm always running around in PvP gear, being super suboptimal in what I'm doing. But the second I spot one of you filthy hordelings, I jump on them and they get no respite, nothing. They get nothing. It doesn't stop.
Why are you hating, bro? Like what the fuck happened that made you hate the Horde so much?
Because listen, and I'm not joking. My experience with this is if you're questing next to a Horde and you don't feel like fighting, they won't fight you. They'll just be there doing their thing.
Okay.
The moment a second Horde gets there, if there's two Hordes in one alliance, they instantly jump on you. They don't even hesitate. It's like the second they see somebody else fly by, they're like, okay, time to kill the alliance, because they only attack when they have numbers. That's the only
feeling I have about the fucking alliance. What are you talking about?
Nah, dude.
Like the alliance does that.
I'm solo all the time, dude. I'm solo all the time. And it's just like been a blast to do it. Because again, it feels like it's balanced. Because for instance, the other day, I was fighting a paladin. And it was a protection paladin. And I actually had spec'd into the warriors, they got Shattering Throw again. So Shattering Throw breaks bubbles. And I put Shattering Throw specifically to break paladin bubbles. And I was like, okay, let's go. But I haven't looked into what the paladins can do. Those motherfuckers have like 4 invulnerabilities now, dude. So I'm like, he bubbles, and I'm like, Shattering Throw. And he just like, and now Hand of Protection. And I was like, shit. And then after Hand of Protection, he summons some Valkyrie bullshit that gives him another immune. And I'm like, what is happening? Stop. Stop becoming immune.
I think that makes sense. The thing is, I'm gonna be very interested to see how PvP works out. I haven't watched the Swifty stream yet, but I'm pretty sure they're having the time of their lives trying to figure out like one shot builds and stuff like that. Not entirely sure. But no, all round, I would say that I'm incredibly excited for what the expansion has to offer right now. I'm incredibly excited for where the expansion seems to be heading, and I know that you had some lore questions, But since I'm not done with the story yet, you can't ask those. But I will say the following. What's been amazing to me so far with the lore is the delivery of it is a lot less obtrusive. It's not like in Shadowlands. I would say Shadowlands had incredible storytelling with one problem. If you're a player that don't really care about the story, you were sometimes for a very long time locked into sort of cutscenes, and not even cutscenes, but in-game moments of characters speaking to each other that you just had to stand there and watch. Whereas this time around, they're doing it a lot better. So whenever there's voice lines, and I tried this out yesterday, when there's a voice line, you literally can mount up and fly. Doesn't matter how far you are, you can still hear the voice lines.
Yeah, it keeps going.
You'll still hear the voice lines, so you can immediately continue on your way, do the fucking quest, and come back when you're done. No questions asked, which I think is phenomenal. The side quests have been a breath of fresh fucking air, dude. There are some phenomenal side quests.
Okay, so this I need that. You've been doing all of the side quests?
No, in the beginning, I did every single one of the side quests, and then I started realizing this is going to take me months to level to max.
That's fine.
Because I have so little time to actually play. Yeah. So now I'm just rushing through the main story. Well, I say rushing. I'm still reading all the quests and spending way more time. Like, people told me it's going to take me about half an hour to do the bronze Dragonflight stuff. We spent about 2.5 hours yesterday doing the first half of it.
Half an hour, the final half an hour that I really wanted to talk to you about, and you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, well, I've done half of it, but that took 2.5 hours because every single fucking quest we do, we spend almost like 30 minutes to 40 minutes breaking down what just happened and what the story is. So it takes like a very long time to actually get through it. But I'm almost done.
But it's like, I feel like, even though I said earlier, right, that I feel like Wrath of the Lich King has a better story and all of that, but that's also because of the characters being established. But I really did like what I saw the story. If there's one thing that bothers me is, again, I can't stand that there's a major alliance character called Toddy Whiskers. Like I just can't live with that. And every time that I'm doing a world quest and Toddy Whiskers speak, dude, I hate you. I want to chop your head off. Like, you're an embarrassment to the dwarven society. Like, stop. Like, what are you doing? It's very annoying. But apart from Toddy Whiskers, like, everything else has been really, really cool. Like, there's even moments, like in the Ruby Life pools. I'm not sure if you've done that quest with the old orc soldier, which I think it was the orc soldiers that, like, imprisoned the dragons or something. And one of them comes back to the Ruby Life pools.
Orc soldier? No, I haven't done that yet. I've done the dwarf one.
Yeah, the dwarf one, which is a dragon, and he had the love of his life and all of this stuff. Yeah, that one was also very good.
A Dragonmaw orc that is in the Ruby Life pools.
I don't know if it's a Dragonmaw orc or not. I think it is, because the way that quest played out, it seemed to imply that, yes, there was an orc that, you know, hurt the dragons and all of this, and that the dragons still accepted him and help them a little bit. And if you haven't done it, I don't want to tell you what happens in the quest. But Chad is saying that it's a Blackrock clan member. I don't know.
Yeah, that's important. Those are the two options you have for orcs that's been involved to some extent with dragons. Would be Blackrock and Dragonmaw. Although the Dragonmaw would be a bigger story, I think, because they were, especially at the Ruby Life pools, they were like Alexstrasza. She has a reason to fucking despise them. Because they literally enslaved her and her fucking clutch to turn them into dragons that they can ride with. Like, they took no prisoners, bro.
I think it's something related to that, and I think it was an interesting moment. Even though I don't care about orcs and all of that, but it was a very interesting moment story wise. And I want to, again, you have to do so many of the side. Like, dude, you have to go to the Azure Span and do this one quest line that involves a blood elf and a human. Because the human is like, he's like an inventor type of dude. He's constantly doing all of these different devices. And I think that the blood elf is kind of like his escort or something, because they're trying to solve a problem in the Azure Span. And that quest, you just have to, I can't tell you, like, this is so hard, bro. You need to just go do that quest. God damn it.
I'll do all of the quests, I promise. I'm literally going tomorrow to a place called Futurama to figure out how much it's going to cost me to get like load shedding proof.
Barry Star says, I think he did this one. You didn't do it.
I can't remember it.
I can't
remember it.
The human had all of these devices that he kept coming up with stupid names for it, like the Madden.
Oh
the
yeah,
ramming,
that one we did. Yeah, that one we did. It was fucking ridiculous, but also so cool.
No,
like the rad stuff.
Yeah, the rad stuff, exactly. So the thing about that quest, right, it's that I feel like it's almost the perfect balance of being something that is kind of a joke, and then at the end, it kind of gets serious.
Yes.
Because, the Blood Elf is just like, well, I guess I have to do this now. And I was looking and I was like, wait, what? And the other guy's like, no, don't do it. He's like, pfft, and Blood Elf is gone. And usually I'd be like, oh, yeah, fuck him. But I was like, oh, shit. He just did the fucking... He actually did a Blood Elf doing an elf of any kind doing an honorable thing. That's an extremely rare thing that ever happens, bro.
I would say the side quests are phenomenal. They tell really short, small stories within the zones, but it makes you really care about the zone a lot more. And there's something that I just thought about while you were talking about this that I didn't notice until we started talking about it. It really feels as if Dragonflight is the last expansion for the Horde and the Alliance.
Yes.
Think about the amount of quests that we've done where they take traditional Horde races and traditional Alliance races and put them together as friends.
Yes, 1,000,000%. There's so many times that shit happens throughout side quests. It's insane.
Yeah.
And
it's breaking that wall, that thing of you only see, like whenever you played in the past, if you played like a Horde character, not with Shadowlands, but with any other, you would only see Horde characters, right? Those would be the ones that you interact with. Or Alliance, you would only see Alliance characters. This time around, it's sort of very mixed and everyone sort of gets along to some extent.
It's like we were talking about how you saw the Dwarven quest, which still was a dragon, not really an Alliance character, but it was still represented by a dwarf. And I saw the Orc quest in the Ruby Life pools and all of that, and kind of makes sense. They are kind of like trying, and at the same time, I'm constantly getting matched up with Horde in Mythic Plus whenever we have 1 or 2 pugs because there's just so fucking many of you. There's so many.
Yeah, but that's because we're cool. That's because we're cool. I like the cross-faction stuff, but I wish that Blizzard would just let go. That is a question, actually. How do you feel about factions? Do you think that it's time to let the factions go? How do you feel about it?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, now that you've said this, there's another thing that makes sense, which is you haven't been doing a lot of PvP. I have. I've been playing with War Mode on. And there's a bunch of zones that are just straight up PvP zones. And I don't know how often they've done this in the past. I think they've done it a couple of times, but in Dragonflight, I feel like they've done it way more. And in these PvP zones, what happens is, doesn't matter what faction you are. So like if 2 alliances drop in there, they can kill each other. Yeah, there's a bunch of zones like that. And this just also reveals to me that a lot of people in the Alliance...
Free-for-all shit.
Yeah, but this also revealed to me that a lot of people in the Alliance are just fucking stupid because I would see the Horde and they wouldn't attack each other, but the Alliance idiots would. And I'm just like, guys are so fucking dumb. I'd just be like trying to focus on attacking Hordes and then have like Alliance players backstabbing me. I'm like, what are you doing? You idiot. We're in the same faction. Stop.
Yeah, but you see, this is why I told you before, and I'll say it again. The Horde is just superior. You know, we have goals. We know that we're here to save the dragons, and that's why we're saving the dragons. The Alliance are a bunch of morons running around stabbing each other. Like, you will see Alexstrasza dying in front of you, and your friend trying to help her, and you'll be like, ooh, this is a good backstabbing opportunity. Let me fucking take him out, right? And Alexstrasza will just lie there bleeding out on the floor, like screaming for help. And you would probably teabag her before you would actually fucking help her. That's just the problem with the Alliance, bro. The Alliance doesn't think about the game.
Yeah, dude, it's freaking wild. But no, it's like when it comes to the faction stuff, like I even said when they started saying that, oh, there's going to be cross-faction dungeons and all of these things. First thing I said, and I even made videos about it, was like, okay, cross-faction guilds, like right now, fucking sort it out.
Yeah.
Like, just sort it out. Like, you need to have cross-faction guilds. It's just that simple. Because
I think
It removes barriers from players. What people don't understand is that there is a barrier. And here's the thing, though. I know that a lot of people in World of Warcraft, they don't want to end the faction divide. Like I was talking earlier about killing hordes and shit, but it's like I don't care that deeply about it. It's just something that is fun.
As long as you get to kill someone.
Yeah,
as long as you get to kill someone, you're fine.
I just want to kill people, right? I want to kill some people. And even though you have the Horde and Alliance factions, you can very easily, within a certain zone, just be like you had the Aldors and the Scryers, right? In TBC. You can do something similar like that, where you pledge yourself to one of the things, and then you can still have your guild. Imagine, for instance, your guild would have like, okay, it's got orcs and dwarves and gnomes and trolls and all of this stuff. And we all pledge to the Aldors or the Scryers, and then when you're out in the open world, I can kill somebody else. It's just, it might be a horde, might be an alliance, doesn't matter. They're from the other temporary faction, so to speak. So because the main problem with this is, and this is something that I've had with a couple of friends every now and then, is that they would want to be horde. And I'm like, bro, I wouldn't be caught dead playing horde because I want to play a dwarf. It's just that simple. Yeah. And therefore, that creates a barrier because we wouldn't be able to play together. So somebody has to compromise. Either I compromise and play Horde, or they compromise and play Alliance. And it always ends up being a bad experience for someone. Yeah. Because from my personal experience, it's extremely hard to play a character that you don't relate to from an aesthetic standpoint. You need to like the way your character looks because you're going to be looking at it for multiple hours.
Yeah.
And so if you remove those barriers, friends will just be able to play together without needing all of this faction stuff, and it makes sense.
I would say, first and foremost, the character that you play is very much an RPG choice.
Yes.
And RPG is important because if the RPG elements isn't there, it becomes very difficult to actually roleplay. And games are all about roleplay, even if you're not technically RPing, or as some people in this chat probably ERPing. But it is something that's important to the overall success of a video game like World of Warcraft. And this is where the talents come in. The talents allow for you to do a lot more RPG stuff than you could ever do in the past. The fact that you have a lot more freedom to choose the kind of activities that you want to partake in. That's also a very RPG feeling or an RPG aesthetic. And then, of course, we have the factions. Now, I'm right there with you. I think that the Horde v Alliance should become an aesthetic choice for the most part. In other words, you can go and you can join the Horde battle group. Now you're fighting on the side of the Horde, you're fighting the Alliance. It doesn't matter what race you chose in the game. You're just fighting on this side.
Actually, that makes even more sense than what I was saying, because what I was saying was like, you have a temporary faction, which is actually a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Like having a temporary faction like the Aldors and Scryers is actually a bad thing. You should just be able to pledge to a faction regardless of your race. That actually makes way more... The same way that when you create a panda, or I'm assuming a Drakthir, right, that they get to choose which side they go to, you'd be able to do the same thing with like a regular race. That's what you need to do. Yeah. And existing players will get like a quest line where they have to decide, oh my God, all this should happen, so now you have to choose. Do you side with the Horde, do you side with the Alliance? And that would also solve the problem of cross-faction guilds.
Because you don't every single problem.
Yeah, you don't even need to have cross-faction guilds. You just have people pledge to one of the two. And then, obviously, you'll have a paid service that allows them to swap, because, of course, Blizzard's going to do that.
Yeah. Well, I would say in this
$20 and you're a Horde now.
The way I would do it is you start your character, right? And you go through the story. The way that I think Blizzard is going to do it from now on is everyone starts on the island. Once you finish with the island, you go to Dragonflight, you level through Dragonflight, then you go to the next expansion, and you start the next expansion. But then, I would say, right after the island, you get taken to, say, a new sort of holding zone, and there they explain to you the battle groups that is the Horde v Alliance, and that it's sort of like war games between the old Alliance faction and the old Horde faction. They've set up these groups to keep them strong, to keep them sharp for whatever threats may arise, and you can make a choice based on this. And you choose purely for aesthetic reasons. So if you choose Horde, all of your rewards are Horde-based rewards. So you can get some nice wolves, some nice shit like that. If you choose Alliance, you get all of the Alliance-based rewards. You get some nice horses because you guys only get fucking horses. You know,
we have good rams.
That's your choice. Okay, you get rams every once in a while too. That makes all the difference. But you know, you get these rewards. But if you decide that you want to switch, so you've unlocked all of the sort of rewards on the Horde side, well, then you literally just go and speak to the Alliance and you're like, hey, I feel like fighting for you guys now. And then you go there and you can unlock all of those rewards as well just by doing the PvP there. So it gives players a lot more shit to do. And it also allows you the freedom to go, yeah, I want to be this today. I want to be that tomorrow. Because it is just battle groups. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You know, that's what I would want to see from Blizzard, specifically with regard to the factions. Because I do think the factions have played themselves out. I don't think anyone really cares anymore about the difference between Horde and Alliance. Outside of us making jokes about it, I genuinely don't think anyone cares. I think most people are just in at the point where they don't even understand why this is still a thing.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense because we're both united trying to save the dragons, and at the same time we're trying to slaughter each other out in the fields. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to bring up gearing just a little bit. I know that you don't care that much, but I know that a lot of people do because they're always thinking about like, oh, but because people were talking to me about, oh, but then I have to go do raids and then I have to go do dungeons and then blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to bring out one thing, and it could be that I was just very lucky this week. I'm not 100% sure, but there are multiple activities. Once you finish the main quest, which you haven't finished yet, so you haven't unlocked all of the activities that you can do, right? I can tell you about the activities. Those are not big spoilers, I feel like.
No, probably.
And you might have even crossed paths with some of those activities during the leveling process because they're there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, for instance, one of the things where it's the assault on, you know, that Black Keep. I forget what it's called. The siege on Black Dragon Keep or whatever.
The Obsidian Sanctum.
Yeah, the Obsidian Sanctum. Siege on Obsidian Sanctum. There's a siege that happens every couple of hours in there. You basically join that siege. And, you know, it's just a scenario that plays out, and there will be like multiple players in there. And once you play out that scenario, you get a chest for a piece of loot. That's a weekly thing. So you get a chest there for that. Then you'll get another chest for completing the thing where you will ally yourself with either Rathian or Sibelian.
Sibelian, yeah.
That's probably going to be another piece of loot right there. During that quest, there's a bunch of quests that you do that might also give you more loot, and rares will spawn when there's a bunch of players in there. That's more loot that you can get. And again, just notice, not once have I said a dungeon or a world. This is one event. One event, and there's like, I don't know, anywhere from potentially 4 to 5 chances of getting like a nice upgrade that scales with your item level. So the higher your item level is, the better that is going to be. That is a weekly activity, even though you can stay there and grind and different rares will spawn, and that's more chances of you getting even more loot, which if you're not doing dungeons, you're not doing raids, you can be a degen and grind that shit for a good long while, particularly at the start of the week, because there's always going to be a bunch of people there grinding and doing their rep thing and whatnot. So that's one way to gear. The other one is, you know, the Centaurs, they have hunting parties. Have you ever done a hunting party?
No.
So hunting parties is basically like there'll be a horn in your map, and that will indicate, okay, there's a hunt going on here. It's 6 steps, which is 6 random activities that you'll have to do. So like kill a bunch of monsters here, follow these foot tracks there, pick up these things, you know, whatever, like random quest bullshit. And eventually, usually like a boss somewhere in there, usually in the last one, there'll be like a big boss. You finish that, boom, that's another piece of loot that you will be eligible to get. Although that one doesn't always give loot. But I think in the early item levels, it will pretty much always give you loot like another epic that you can get. Then you have the Community Feast Soup, which I'm assuming you haven't done that yet.
No, I accidentally did that one. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was standing there and I saw all these people running and fucking doing things. And I was like, I'll just do it with them. What is this? And I just started killing a bunch of things, jumping out of a cooking pot. Yes. I was like, well, this is unsavory as fuck, but let's go.
Here's what you need to understand about the soup, okay? And I think I've told you this last time. Anything that threatens the soup becomes the soup. Because if you notice, whenever he says, protect the soup, a monster is attacking. You kill the monster, he explodes in pieces of meat. No, he explodes in pieces of meat, and then everybody goes, picks up the meat, and throws it in the soup.
Dude, I didn't even see them picking up the fucking meat.
Yeah, because they do it so fast. But like any monster that attacks the soup, it explodes into meat, and then you pick it up and throw it into the soup.
I mean, it's pretty cool because so I've noticed a couple of times. This is something that I do want to. I don't know how often this will happen, but what I have seen is like sometimes I'll just be out in the world. So the way I learned about the soup was actually I was busy in a completely different area of the map, and this little fucking kid showed up on a kite.
Walrus person. This little walrus
like this Tuskar showed up on a kite, and they were like, "Oh, by the way, don't forget the soup." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" So I flew there because this was not part of my I had to go hand in one of my quests there, and that's when I saw the soup bowl. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but there seems to be a lot of people waiting for this. And then just yesterday, I had another kid show up to call me to a different area in the game. Apparently there's something happening there too. So the way in which they're drip feeding you with different activities that's happening within the world is really cool. Like you're just out and about and someone shows up and says, "Oh, by the way, there's an event now. Would you like to come join us?" It's really cool.
There's just two of the activities that I feel like they're doing a poor job of telling people, but let me just continue. So we're at the soup. So the way the soup works is every week when the soup starts, there'll be a quest active there. You pick up the quest and it says do 5 tasks of the soup. So when the soup's going on, the dude's shouting out different tasks. And he's going to give different people different tasks. So you have to pay attention to the task specifically that you get. Because initially I was just sitting there spamming AoEs, not caring. And then I realized, wait, sometimes I get something different. Like sometimes he'll tell you, go get me some bones or something. And you need to actually leave the area of the soup and go to like a little bit further. Like it's still in the town, in the vicinity, but you'll have to leave the area of the soup, go pick up something, and then go back to the soup and throw it in there. Other times
you have to pay attention. You can't just be willy-nilly going.
You can't just be AFK in there because you won't be able to complete all of your tasks that way. The other time I got a task which was interesting, which is basically like you're supposed to scream encouragement to the people around the soup. So they give you like one of those vehicle bars that you usually get, and you just run around and you press a button and your character will go like, good job. You're doing great. It's like stuff like that. So there's just a lot of funny things that you get to do with the soup. But anyway, so there'll be a quest that is active for you to complete 5 things, complete those 5 tasks, boom, you get another piece of loot. So these are like already 3 things completely outside of dungeons, and you're going to get loot there. And sometimes at the end of the soup, even if you don't have the weekly, you can still get loot on the final mob that jumps out of the soup, and it can be like an epic, and it scales to your item level, all of that. So there's always a reason for you to go to the soup. Then there's the area that I told you about the other time, which is a Cobalt Assembly, which is basically like an open world Torghast where you can make your character broken overpowered while you're just killing shit in there. And if you raise the rep of that, which just raises by you killing monsters and looting these items that increase the power level or whatever, but it's basically a rep grind. If you get rep there, there'll be a 389 ring that you can just buy pretty cheap. It's not even like expensive or anything. You just get like a 389 ring, boom, done. So that's another piece of loot that you can get. I don't remember what happens in Thaldraszus. I'm sure there's like an event like this somewhere around Thaldraszus as well. The Centaur hunt, by the way, can happen on any of the map regions. Can happen on Waking Shores, can happen on Thaldraszus, different locations.
Yeah, they hunt everywhere.
Then there's the 2 things that I told you they don't do a good job of telling you about, which I didn't even do the first week because I wasn't even aware that they existed, which is Trial of the Flood and Trial of Elements. There are 2 specific zones that you can go to in the game, and every couple of hours, an event will spawn there. There'll be a chest. You AoE down a bunch of mobs. You open the chest. Boom, another major piece of loot that you can get. And again, throughout all of this, there are super rares that can spawn at any location around the world. You kill the super rare, that's another piece of loot. So this loot, I don't know how high it goes, but it's scaling pretty well right now, which means that players that don't want to do dungeons, players that don't want to do raids, they can still get access to all this really powerful loot. In my experience, when Season 1 started, I've gotten way more loot for doing things out in the world than doing Mythic Plus. And you're talking to someone that's run probably over 20 Mythic Pluses by now.
Yeah. So I will say everything that you just said there, I think is great for gearing. I spoke about this before Dragonflight even came out. I do think the old way of looking at gearing is over and should remain over.
Yes.
Because, it used to be this whole thing of the Mythic Raiders get the best gear, and they must have the gear that is just shitting on every other type of player in the game. Whereas I've sort of adapted my thinking around this, where I think a good way to look at it is that Mythic should only ever be about 6 item levels higher than anything else that you can get in the game. 6 item levels is more than enough for the Mythic guys to actually feel like they're getting a good deal, but not so much that people start feeling forced to go into Mythic because, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm going to be 20 item levels behind everyone else if I don't at least do some Mythics here. I think Mythic Plus should drop literally at the highest level, about 6 items levels less than Mythic rating. And for the open world, I wouldn't change that. Because in the open world, while yes, you get a lot of pieces of gear, the one thing that usually isn't true for the open world gear is the way in which the stats are presented. So you'll oftentimes get weird stats like versatility on gear and, crit on gear. So you won't always get your perfect stats. Well, that's why organized group content exists.
Yeah.
For the perfect stats. If you want the perfect stat, go do the fucking content that is designed for that. But for the open world, whether you have versatility or whether you have haste or crit, all of it's going to help you in the end to kill the bosses that you want to get down. And the thing that I actually, just while listening to you about all this content, the amount of shit that you have to do in Dragonflight, that you don't have to do, but that you can do, is insane. It's all over the world, and the world continuously feels busy because of it.
Yeah. It's like you can do it pretty fast. As a matter of fact, they already have WeChorus for it, which the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, dude. Wow. There was like literally just a WeChorus that said, here's how long until the feast starts. Here's how long until the Siege of Dragonbane starts. Here's how long until Trial of Flood starts. And I was just like, it's like, bro, why? There's so many good things in the game, and you need to just like optimize everything out of it. It's been so much fun to just discover all of this shit organically, with the exception of Flood and Elements, which, like I said, I feel like they need to do a better job of that one. But everything else I discovered.
You see, I don't think they should do a better job of it, because that's where that discovery comes in. All the others, they sort of tell you. But by telling you that there's all these things you can do in the world, you immediately start thinking, well, what aren't they telling me? Because this is something that also stood out to me during the questing process. When you quest, so for those of you that haven't played Dragonflight yet, when you quest, you're not even seeing half of the world. You're just seeing some of the areas. Now, if you really want to drive yourself fucking nuts, go exploring a little bit. And suddenly you see these quest hubs pop up that has nothing to do with the main storyline. Like literally fuck all to do with the main storyline. But it's just filled with a bunch of quests that are completely side quests. Like, you don't have to do them, but you will eventually do them because they unlock different activities. So the quest that you do, for example, for the climbing, that's a side quest that's in an area that you don't go to for the main quest line. I accidentally discovered this area. It's also the same area where you unlock the going down a river and taking pictures bullshit. There's some Pokemon ripoff thing that you get to do. So the world really is this place where you have to go discover things. Now, of course, everyone is going to, or a lot of people are going to cheat. But here's what I actually think. We were talking about this not long ago. The amount of people that use add-ons to basically circumvent all discovery.
Mm-hmm.
I think those people that do that is still in the minority in World of Warcraft. Because if you think... So here's why I think so. There was a study done, I think, back in 2019 where they looked at gamers all over. So it wasn't a WoW-specific study, but it looked at all MMOs and basically all games that sort of had an online presence. And they found that only about 30% of all players of video games actually go outside of their game to consume content about their game, be that guides, be that looking up things on the forums, be that anything. Only about 30% of those. And of those 30%, only about 5% will actually interact with it. So write a comment or leave a forum post. That means that 70% theoretically of World of Warcraft's player base don't go to YouTube. They don't go to website to go look for things. They probably don't even download add-ons because they don't know where to download add-ons because they don't care.
I guess
they log into WoW and they play WoW. They're just having the time of their life playing the game.
I guess it's just a consequence of the people that I play with being mostly inclined towards Mythic Plus because, there's a new affix Thundering. First time we encountered it, because it's when you go to a 10 key. First time we encountered Thundering. First thing all of them were talking about, we got to download a weak aura, gotta figure. I'm trying to figure out how to solve the thing.
Yeah.
and they've already downloaded like 5 different weak auras. And I was like, bro, no. Why?
Well, the problem is, remember, we look at the game through the eyes of our own medium. Every single person that I will interact with is watching me on YouTube or watching me on Twitch. This automatically means that they engage with the game outside of the game.
Yeah.
So they'll come to Twitch, so they're probably downloading add-ons, downloading all of that stuff. Most of the people that you're in your guild with will probably do those things as well. I'll give you guys another sort of, and this is from Blizzard themselves. Mike Morhaime said this, and this was way back in the day. It was during the days of Cataclysm, actually. Mike Morhaime in an interview said they're working on ways to inform players of new expansions. And I was like, wait, what? And Mike Morhaime explained that a very large group of their player base still do not know that Cataclysm is the newest expansion. They still, and this was like 6 months into Cataclysm already being live, these players still played Wrath of the Lich King as if it was the expansion. And they were trying to figure out, how do we inform these players that, no, there is a new expansion. You're allowed to upgrade to the new expansion.
So these people are the reason why we get those login screens that we get now advertising the new features in season 1.
I think so. I think the point is the point that I'm trying to make is, for every player that that downloads add-ons and that have all of these guides that they follow, there's probably 4 or 5 players that do not do it at all. Like, they don't even know where to find those guides. They don't give a shit because they don't play the game that way. They do old raids because they like it, because sometimes they get some gear from it. They probably just exist. I had a friend, actually, not my friend, my friend's dad, right? This guy would spend every single Sunday, and I fucking kid you not, every single Sunday, he would spend the entire Sunday just fishing in WoW. That's it. Literally 8 to 9 hours just fishing. And not even flying around the world fishing. Just around a single pond. Like, he will find a pond for the day, and he'll just run around from fishing spot to fishing spot and just fish. That's it. He loved it. It made him happy. He enjoyed it. None of us play the game that way. But for this guy, this was the game he played. And that's the only game he wanted to play, was fishing. It happens. Things like this happen. Another friend of mine, his mom played the game. And I asked him, what does your mom do in the game? And he's like, well, she levels. I'm like, what do you mean she levels? And he's like, yeah, she currently has her 3rd account, because there used to be a limit of 50 characters per account. So she had 3 accounts already filled up with characters. That's all she does. She doesn't gear her characters. She just levels
there
them.
50 there's like 50 character limit, right? So that would mean that would mean she had 150 characters.
Yeah, that's all she does. She started playing back in Classic, like when Classic was Classic, right? When Vanilla was Vanilla. And that's all she does. She just enjoys leveling. And she just levels new characters until she has the max character cap. And then she buys a new account and she levels more characters. So I think the way in which, even Preach, when he asked Ian, what do players like to do? Ian said, everything.
Yeah.
Like, there's no activity in World of Warcraft that they can point to and be like, this is the most exciting one. This is the one that everyone wants. No. Every activity, even the ones that we don't always think is good. So I will look at things like pet battles and say they're absolutely shit. No one does pet battles. I'd be wrong.
Yeah, then you look at Annie Fuchsia streams and it's like pet battles 24/7. That's all she does.
Yeah. Like, WoW is an incredibly diverse game. And there's no way to just go, oh, no one cares about this. Because if it's in the game, there's someone that cares about it.
But see, there's something to be said about Dragonflight. And this is one of the things that I can't really put my finger on what it is. But it has a way to get you to do things that you usually wouldn't do. Like, for instance, I maxed out fishing within the first couple of days of playing Dragonflight.
Yeah.
I have never fished in World of Warcraft unless there was like something that I wanted to have through fishing. Not once have I went out of my way to do fishing. And I did it in this expansion. I did fishing. I leveled herbalism. I leveled mining. But herbalism and mining, I like doing those. I'm just like running around. Oh, there's some nodes. Pick those up. Nice.
Yeah.
But so I did that. And then another thing that I did, this is actually the very first time. I had never done it before. I did a pet battle because there was a quest that organically led me to doing a pet battle. And then because the pet that I needed to defeat was level 25, I had to learn through items that they gave me which of the pet battle items would scale the pets to level 25 so that I could fight this other pet. Okay. And not only that, because that wasn't enough. And here's the thing. It's almost like they knew you'd fuck it up, so they give you like 2 of those things to level up. So I just leveled up a random one, and then I couldn't kill the pet. And then because, you know, there's all of these different weaknesses and all of this bullshit. So then I had to look in my pet collection for a pet that could actually fight the pet that I needed to defeat, level that one up, and kill the pet that way. And it's like, it didn't force me because like I could have just gone, I don't want to do this quest, fuck this. But because I've been having so much fun with all the quests, I'm like, well, I just have to do this one pet battle quest. Like, it's not the end of the world. I'll fucking learn how to do this and do it. And fundamentally, I learned how to do pet. I'm not going to do them again. I'm still not, because I don't care about them. But I now have a basic understanding of how pet battling works.
So I kind of know how pet battles work insofar as you press a bunch of buttons and something happens, and your guys just have to have more health than the other guys. Yeah. But insofar as giving a shit about it, I've never cared.
Yeah, I mean,
I couldn't care less. It's like, I don't think WoW has ever been able to convince me to do pet battles. So I'm not holding my breath that they will now.
See, the thing
but I think it's nice that it exists.
The thing was that the way in which I've been doing this is the first time that I've done Lore Master in any expansion. Because I was just having so much fun. I'm like, well, fuck it. I'll just do all the quests. The hell with it, right?
This is your first time unlocking... Dude, what the...
I've never done it because I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care about the side. I don't give a... I don't give a fuck. And I did it for Dragonflight, which is weird. Because you might argue like, well, you were just trying to grind a reputation. It's like, no, because I haven't done all of the world quests. I haven't been grinding world quest hardcore, so I don't care that much about the reputations. Clearly, it's just like I was going through and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do all the quests, and I haven't actually done all of the quests. I just did enough for Lore Master, because then there's like there's hidden quests that don't even show up on your map. Yeah, so you have to actually go out of your way to find these weird quests, and they're kind of like there's one about to tame a thunder spine or whatever the fuck it is, and that one requires a bunch of stuff. Like, you need to get a bunch of different materials. Like, right now I'm at a step where I need to go fish up 10 different fish or whatever to give to this person. It's a weird quest, but I've been like chipping away at it slowly. But yeah, I've been going through and trying to actually delete all of the exclamation marks from the map to have clean maps.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what patch 10.1 brings.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be wild.
For the first time ever, and this is something I wanted to speak about for a while, I don't think players appreciate the amount of effort that used to go into World of Warcraft before, right? During BFA, during Shadowlands. Because in Shadowlands, let's take something very silly. Let's take a system like conduits, okay? Now, whenever you bring out a new piece of content, so a new patch with new raids, new dungeons, all that, that's already a pretty massive sort of piece of content or work that you have to do from a development standpoint. But when you have something like conduits, it's not just a case of saying, right, we're just going to add a bunch of new things, because all of these things have to work together. So all of the conduits have to work in all of the new raids with all of the new bosses and with all of the new dungeons. But then also all of the new conduits that drop can't be so overpowered that you just get classes that build completely broken specs and stuff like that. So it's constantly this balancing game, and it really just takes most of the development time to get all of this shit to work together. So to design new things is almost impossible. You can't really add new systems at this point. You're just trying your best to get all of the current systems as optimized as possible so that they actually work with all the new dungeons and stuff that you're bringing out, or raids that you're bringing out. This time around, the content that is there is going to be there. Blizzard is probably going to add a bunch of new renown, which just gives you more reasons to be there. There's probably already guys working on new world quests and stuff to add, because you can add whichever fucking world quest you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to go through the balancing team to make sure that this world quest doesn't break the raid. Who gives a fuck? The raid is the raid. The world quest is the world quest. It has nothing to do with each other. So you're going to most likely, patch 10.1 will be the beefiest content patch we've ever seen in World of Warcraft history, because for the first time ever, you can have the different departments really operate entirely on their own, with the only people that have to care about each other would be the guys that's making the raid, sort of talking to the guys that's doing the classes and being like, oh yeah, we kind of have to figure out the balancing of the classes, but they don't then also have to go to the guys that's doing the conduits, and also go to the guys that's doing the Torghast stuff, and also go to the guys that's doing the legendary stuff, and all of these people have to work together to get shit balanced. It's going to be phenomenal to see.
I think that classes is going to be something that they're probably going to be struggling with, because like with all of these trees, I don't know what the balancing is like right now for most classes. I just know that my class is in a pretty good spot, and that makes me happy because it's never been the case for so many expansions already.
We can check.
Because
we can actually check this.
Like, if you have dead specs, that is going to be one of the things that will hurt Dragonflight a lot. Because, basically if a player can't play their class, like there's always the degens that'll just go, I just want to play whatever the flavor of the month is, right? But there's a lot of people that to them, in my case specifically, if I can't play my warrior, what I've noticed is that I lose interest way faster. Like in Shadowlands, I lost interest super fast because I have to go play a paladin because I can't tank with warrior at the start of the instance because it's fucking worthless. In BFA, I have to play a monk because I can't tank with warrior at the start of this expansion because it's fucking worthless. And that's just kind of like the way that it went. Now it slowly just lose interest because I want to play my warrior. I just want to play my warrior. That's it. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Which is why with my friends sometimes they were like, well, we have somebody else that wants to play a tank, and I'm like, that's fine, I'll play Fury. But I'm playing my warrior or I'm quitting the expansion. That's literally what I told them. It's like this, I'm playing my warrior or I'm not playing at all. That's the way that it's going to work from now on.
So from what I can see here, if I look at Warcraft logs, there are a couple of classes that seem to be well and truly left behind, but I would say,
what specs?
Apart from Assassination Rogue and Marksman Hunter, that is really fucking popping out.
Oh yeah, Marksman Hunter, dude. In our Mythic Plus group, our Marksman Hunter, every pull when this motherfucker pops up, basically let's put it like this: if he doesn't, what's the name of the thing? Misdirect every pull.
Yeah,
like he would pull aggro every single pull. Like there's no tank in the world.
So they have a shit ton of burst and stuff.
You need to understand, this Marksman Hunter is doubling the damage of our second highest DPS. It's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting, dude. Every single time I see him burst, I'm just like, bro, you know what? Fuck your burst, dude. Fuck you. Fuck your burst. Fuck your class. that's what I go. I'm like, bro, what is that? So yeah,
so Marksman is
no, it's a Marksman Hunter.
Yeah, you have Assassination and Marksman Hunter that is literally almost neck and neck right at the top. And they're pretty far like into the top. They're on a score of 80. But then the rest of them, from Subtlety Rogue all the way, I would say, up until Devastation Evoker, they're pretty fine. They sort of fall between the 76, 77 mark and the 66. So there's about a 10% difference between them. And then I would say Unholy DK, Shadow Priest, a Destruction Warlock, Arms Warrior, Affliction Warlock, Frost Mage, and then Fire Mage. These are very much left behind. So their balance is really bad.
But it's like, to me, when you're talking about something like an Arms Warrior, I don't see that as a huge problem, because so long as you have one of the Warrior DPS specs up there, I think it's kind of okay. Although it kind of sucks that Arms is not... I think experience... The problem with Arms is that you don't have a lot of experienced players playing Arms because they'll just go for Fury. Because I think an experienced warrior, a DPS warrior player, Biz, whatever his name is, because I was watching one of his guides yesterday. He said that it's actually not that far apart between Fury and Arms if you know what you're doing. So the problem is probably a lot of the people playing Arms don't know what they're doing. So that one, I don't think is a huge problem. But even then, like, say you got a class, right? And say that class has, I mean, every class has 3 specs with the exception of some of the hero classes, right? If one of your specs lags behind, you can just play the other spec and you're still playing the same class. And I know that it's frustrating because some specs have different play styles and whatnot, but the way that I look at it is like there are certain specs that you need to maintain balance. So like, for instance, whatever is the tanking spec for all the tanking classes, that one needs to be good because otherwise you can't tank.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Yeah. But if a class has like 3 DPS specs and 2 of those DPS specs are good and one of them's like, meh, it's like, is that really a problem? I mean, just play one of the other 2 specs. I kind of feel like, which in my case, it's like, hey, is Fury bad? Okay, I'll just play Arms. I just happen to prefer Fury and Fury is good. But it's like, hey, if Fury is bad, I'll play Arms. And if Arms is bad, I'll play Fury. To me, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. To be fair, though, the point I was trying to make is this graph looks exactly the same as any other expansion. So the argument that, talents would be a problem with balancing doesn't seem to be true. The balancing is basically the same. It always skews a little bit down, but it's not like we're seeing certain classes like 50% behind any of the others. There are obviously the 2 classes that is just bonkers broken right now, but that's also based on the raid, which is a whole different discussion because it might be that other classes are much better at other things. So it really depends on what you're doing and why you're doing those that content. And also the group. The one thing that I will say is as long as everyone has the ability to kill, like I'll see now if how many classes have actually killed Razagath on, let's say, normal. All of them. Like every single one of the classes have been able to kill it. Yeah. So I will say it doesn't matter.
It's not a big
Everyone can do it. So in other words, the balancing is fine. As long as everyone can do it, it's fine.
It's just like I said, so long as they can keep up this balance somewhat, but particularly as someone who plays tank a lot of the times, particularly with tanking, it is super important because basically when it comes to tanking, people are like, are you the best tank? You're not playing the best spec? We're not bringing you to the group. That's simple. Not playing the best spec? Well, that's too fucking bad.
Yeah.
Guess you're not playing today.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why tanking needs to be really, really tight. And Blizzard recently actually nerfed tanks like 10% across the board. I was like, that's fine. It's because apparently they didn't like Asmongold in his stream just like pulling a whole instance, killing everything while his group was dead.
Yeah, so tanks were a little overpowered.
This is fine, guys. Don't worry about it.
But let's see. I'm very excited for the future of Dragonflight. I think we do have to shift a little to other news because there is a bunch of other news.
There's a very big news. This one is something that I think everybody is going to like. I don't see anybody not liking this one. The Prodigal Son returns.
Yes.
So let me. I'll just read. Oh, I had the thing right here. I don't have the Twitter post up anymore. Did I close? No, I have it. No, I have it. I have it here. I'll read it.
Okay.
Citizens of Azeroth. This is a tweet from John Haidt, by the way. It is with great joy that I announce Chris Metzen has joined the Warcraft leadership team as creative advisor. Chris's focus initially will be on World of Warcraft, then his work will expand to other projects across this growing franchise. Chris was one of the original team members working on the Warcraft universe back when it began in 1994, and we are so happy to be reuniting him with the world he helped create. John Haidt, General Manager, Warcraft.
It is fucking music to my ears. Music to my ears.
You remember when... whenever people criticize World of Warcraft, myself included, one of the things that we would always bring up is like, hey, listen, the people that made World of Warcraft what it is, they're not there anymore. Well, one of them's coming back.
Yeah, and it's, in my opinion, the most important one, because it's Chris Metzen. You already have Brian Alinka back, who is one of the original developers, and he's the guy that brought the talent trees to World of Warcraft. So that's already a big step in the right direction. But now Chris Metzen is coming back. And for anyone that is sort of iffy of just how important was Chris Metzen to the overall story, the answer is he was the story. Like, Chris Metzen came up with the stories that we have played up until now. He gave a blueprint the day that he left World of Warcraft. He gave Blizzard a blueprint of how the expansions should play out right up until either BFA or Shadowlands. He didn't write them. He gave them a blueprint of what should happen. They, of course, ended up writing it, and I'm not entirely sure if they wrote it the way that he would have wanted it to be written. He just gave them the blueprint of all the expansions that need to follow to make the story make sense. He's back now, and he is back as the creative director for, or the creative advisor for World of Warcraft, which means that he's back in a position where he can now go and say, right, this is where I think the story should go. This is what I think we should do with the story. I think the story should play this way. It's going to be phenomenal to see Chris Metzen back in action and see how this plays out, because this is coupled with even more good news. About, let's say, 5 months before the launch of Dragonflight, Blizzard put out a post, a job listing for a creative director, a narrative creative director, excuse me. This was the first time in World of Warcraft's history that it wanted a narrative director. In other words, someone that can figure out the direction of where we're going. So you have the writers that's writing the story, but who is the guy that's making sure that those stories make sense? That's making sure that those stories are following chronologically and making sure that the stories line up with previous stories that have already been told. Well, up until this point, it was sort of the writers that had to keep everything in mind. Now you have a director that physically makes sure that the story is playing out the way that it's supposed to be playing out. And you have Chris Metzen, the literal genius mind behind World of Warcraft so far, because if it was up until Shadowlands, which I've heard rumors he actually designed the blueprint up until Shadowlands, if that's true, then that means that Chris Metzen has been responsible up until now for the entire story of World of Warcraft in its entire existence, from vanilla all the way to Shadowlands, and now he's back to sort of orchestrate the next decade or two of World of Warcraft. So this is major news, and it should be exciting news for everyone.
It's like, I'm excited to see Chris Metzen back, and I know that some people are going to bring up some stuff that I myself have spoken about, which was a very disappointing time during the sexual harassment stuff, where we kind of found out that both Mike Morhaime and Chris Metzen were somewhat aware of what was going on, and they didn't do as much as they should have to help sort that shit out. But I kind of feel like Chris Metzen coming back now, that kind of like, in a way, the house has been cleaned, supposedly.
Yeah.
Like, I think that this is a very good position for him to be in, because I think the biggest problem with Mike Morhaime and Chris Metzen is that they're not very confrontational people when it comes to, all of this sexual harassment bullshit. And that is a problem because they were in senior leadership positions and they should have done something about it. But he's not, even though he's like in the World of Warcraft leadership, whatever, he's not in charge of the same shit that he was in charge of back then, which means that he can just focus on working on the game. So I think that is going to be a very good thing, personally.
Oh, yeah. I think there might be another reason for this. And I'm not entirely, don't take my word for this, but it's something that I have to say. I would be remiss if I didn't. This might be, the fact that he's coming back as an advisor might actually be Blizzard that reached out to him and said, look, we're having an incredibly tough time reaching the player base with our stories. For some reason, it's not working. The players are not responding to the stories the way that they used to. And we could use that magic that used to make Blizzard so fucking amazing. We could use that magic again. That ability to just captivate the audience. And I think that might be one of the reasons they decided to bring him back. It is that, he is the magic behind the WoW storyline. It was his all along. And he's a guy that he loves writing. He wrote the Chronicles. He wrote, he's been involved in so many of the World of Warcraft stories and books and stuff. He loves the story. He made it. He created it. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the future is. Because he feels like he's that guy that's been brought back in sort of like okay, Chris, we're hitting reset on World of Warcraft. We're making WoW 2 without calling it WoW 2, but we are making WoW 2. We need you to design the story for the next 2 decades the same way you did with this. So we can once again bring players back and make players happy. And he obviously said yes. Now, I don't know why he said yes, because his game is coming out. I don't know how that's going to work, because he has his tabletop game coming out.
Yeah, that's what I was checking out War Chief Gaming. I'm like, did his War Chief Gaming thing went belly up or something? Like, what's going on with that?
I don't think so. I think because he had a shit ton of backers for that.
Yeah,
I think it's still going.
Yeah, for people that don't know, when Chris Metzen left World of Warcraft, he started like this tabletop gaming company. Looks like there's a couple of books that he's wrote here, the Ouroboros, whatever this is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious how he's going to be splitting his time between War Chief Gaming and, or maybe he finished working the stuff and now it's just like production and whatnot. Maybe somebody else has taken over that, but I don't know.
It might be that might be why he decided to come back as an advisor rather than an actual director or something to that effect. Because as an advisor, he can still have his War Chief Gaming, but then also during his free time work on World of Warcraft. So that might be one of the reasons. Obviously, we won't know, and I don't think he'll tell us. So there's no point in even trying.
We can go around it all day, but I don't think there's a universe where Chris Metzen coming back to World of Warcraft can be perceived as a bad thing. I think it's a good thing all around. I don't think that there's a universe where it's like, oh, this is actually a negative thing because of this. I don't think so. I think everybody's excited to work with Chris Metzen, I feel like, because I've known a lot of people that have either been to Blizzard events or even people that worked on Blizzard, and everybody has a positive opinion on Chris Metzen. Everybody's like, oh, he's a really cool guy. So
yeah. Everyone loves him. But the thing is, I think you're right in saying that he's very much like Mike Morhaime. So I actually spoke to one of the developers that works at Blizzard still currently, but started working at Blizzard in TBC, I believe. And this person told me Mike Morhaime was an incredible person to work for. Absolutely just a phenomenal person. So kind, so good, always willing to help. But he was the shittiest CEO you could ever fucking imagine. From the ground up, he was a shitty CEO. He didn't confront people. He would avoid confrontation whenever possible. He had no real ability to go, all right, you guys are going too far over budget. Slow the fuck down. Like, he would just, if they needed more millions, he would just give them more millions. And sometimes those millions would just be wasted. Like, people would just waste it because they knew that Mike would never say no. So he was a very bad boss, but a really good person. And I wonder if that's not true for someone like Chris Metzen as well. He seems like just a very kind soul. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's going to get involved. And especially when you have people doing absolute abhorrent shit, you need that level of confrontation to actually recognize that this shit is happening. And then, of course, to solve that shit takes a lot of fucking confrontation, because you have to go up to a friend of yours and tell him, dude, you're being a scumbag. Like, stop doing this shit. And that's not every person has that within them. So this is probably a better place for him.
Yeah, I agree
at the moment,
and I think it's overall like fantastic. When I saw the news, I don't know if it was this morning or last night. I think it was last night when I first saw it. I was about to go to bed, and I was like, "Holy shit, Chris Metzen's coming back, dude! God damn, dude, fucking massive." But yeah, we'll see. I think we're only going to see impact of his stuff like probably by the next expansion. That's when I would expect us to see impact of any Chris Metzen work. But it's a good thing because he has a really good base to work with. It's not like he's coming back during Shadowlands, which would have been like, oh shit, I have to unsink this ship somehow. I have to rebuild this Titanic that's broken in half in the bottom of the ocean. It's more like, I can just build on top of this and this will be great. So, yeah.
True. But that's not the only good news we have. Now, there's the next bit of news that I want to sort of throw in here. I know this is not something that you care that much about, but this is something that I give so many fucks about.
I don't care.
And that
I
is
don't know what you're talking about now.
That is it's our God and Savior, Henry Cavill.
No, wait. Before that though.
What do you want to say now?
There's one more thing.
Why are you interrupting the Emperor of Man, bro?
I'm very sorry, but there's one more thing. Because I want to wrap up the WoW thing, and you forgot to talk about one thing.
What did I forget?
The Battle Pass.
There's a Battle Pass?
There's not a Battle Pass. There's a new feature called the Trading Post. Please tell me you know about this. You don't even... Have you been under a rock? You don't even know about the Trading Post, dude?
Dude, I barely have electricity. What the fuck are you talking about?
So let me tell you about the Trading Post, all right? This is a new feature that's going to be coming into play on version 10.5. 10.05. 10.05, yeah. 10.05. Yeah. The Trading Post. So the way that this works is, you remember how they've been adding these things onto the capital cities where it was like they put some stables somewhere? People were like, what the fuck are these stables? What is this for? So it turns out that was like the first step in merchants moving in to Stormwind and Orgrimmar. So these merchants are going to bring in a trading post to both these cities. And the way it's going to work is it's almost like a battle pass. I mean, and by all definitions, it's basically a battle pass. There's going to be a new currency in the game called the Traders something. Traders, I forget what it's called.
Traders
from trade. Traders.
Oh,
Traders,
okay. I thought the
Reverie or I forget what it's called, but yeah, it's something about a trader's currency. And the way that it works is every month you go there and there's a chest, you loot that chest, that's 500 of that currency that you instantly get. And then they give you a bunch of activities that you can do. And when I say a bunch of activities, there's really like a fuck ton of shit. I think that most people, again, assuming... because of the fact that Dragonflight has been so good so far, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here, and I'm going to say, okay, there's a ton of shit that you can do, and I think a majority of people are just going to get the rest of the currency by just doing whatever they would be doing anyway. But basically, they'll give you these activities, which range from dungeons, quests, pet battles, anything and everything, and those activities will give you the rest of the currency that you can get for the month, because you can get 1,000 of this currency a month by logging in, and you get 500 of them going to the chest thing and looting it 500, and then the rest of the 500 you have to go do the activities to get, and you'll be able to get 1,000 of this a month. And then that store, now you're wondering, okay, but what's in the store then? Store mounts.
Like actual in-game store mounts.
Not just that, but also other shit that you can get in the store and new things that they're going to be adding, mostly cosmetic shit. Like, as far as I'm aware, there's nothing power related in there, but it's just cosmetic shit. So to give you an idea, first mount that's going to come up in the rotation, apparently it's going to be the Celestial Steed, and it's going to cost 900 of that currency, which
so
basically...
you can get it in 1 month.
Yeah, which basically Bellylard did like the math on it, and it means that it's almost like giving you $28 in digital items value, which, you know, it's worthless because digital items, but like if you compare it off with the shit in the store, it's like $28, which if you think about this in another way, it's like, okay, so half of that is $14. What's $14? That's the cost of your subscription fee.
Yep.
So you log in, you go in there, you loot the thing, and that's your subscription fee in store credit so that you can go buy shit pretty much. And here's the kicker, because like the first thing that people will point out, that was the first thing that I pointed out because I wasn't aware of a feature, was like, okay, so there's a really big degree of FOMO here, because like whenever there's a month that you're like, oh, there's a mount that I really want to get, right? And that mount is only going to be here for a month. Fuck, this sucks. A mount or another item, something else that you're like, I really want to get this one thing, which means I have to grind it this month, otherwise I'm fucked. But here's the interesting thing. You can freeze one item. So like, say there's that one thing that you really want to, let's say there's two items that you really want to get, but you're not going to be able to get enough currency for both of them. You pick the more expensive one, you freeze it, you grab the other item by doing the activities, and then next month you grind again, and you buy the item that you froze.
All right.
Like that feature, I was like, what the fuck? I would have never expected that. I was like, no, they're gonna channel the fucking FOMO out of everybody, and you're fucked, and you either get it now or you're never gonna get it. And it's like they just let you freeze it. And of course, shit's gonna be on a rotation, so it'll keep coming back every month.
You'll eventually get it back. So I think this is probably the. What am I reading into this? So first thing I'm reading into this is that the WoW store didn't do as well as they thought. That's the first thing. Because if the WoW store was actually making a fucking killing, so in other words, they were making money hand over fist from mounts and shit like that, they would not do this. No company is going to slash their profits or potential profits.
Let me give you another viewpoint. So my viewpoint when I first was thinking about this is like, I mean, if they're giving you your subscription fee price in a digital currency, whatever, but it's basically the price of your subscription fee. What does this remind you of? It reminds you of like, if you go to ESO has that. Like you pay the subscription, and what do you get? You get a certain amount of crowns that you can then use to buy premium shit. Yeah. So in a way, I was thinking this might have been their plan. If Dragonflight tanked, they could have made World of Warcraft free to play, and then you could pay a subscription fee to get this thing in order to get access to in-game store items.
But you see, this is where I think that might still be their plan, or at least that might be a backup plan.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, so Elder Scrolls Online launched with the system of giving you your currency if you subscribed, because they really want people to subscribe. For Blizzard, the thing that makes Blizzard money, this is what I'm reading in it, so it could be completely wrong, but the way Blizzard's store is set up, the way they make their money is through the token. That's the biggest mover and shaker on the store, is the token. Why? Because a shit ton of players buy their game time with that token. That's how most people play the game in World of Warcraft. I would be surprised if it's different. Dude, out of all the people that I've played with over the years in guilds and also in my chat and on YouTube, the majority use the token to pay for their game time, which is wild, I realize, but that's generally been my perception. Now, it is anecdotal because obviously I don't know what the actual stats would be, but the token is, and this system doesn't fuck with the token. The token is still going to be bought now, perhaps even more, because people really want to play because they can buy shit off of the trading post that they would otherwise have to buy in the store. So you're keeping the most important part of your store still on the store, which is the token, but everything else that really didn't move that fast, you're sort of moving that into the game and saying, all right, you guys can just get it in the game because it's not really selling like fucking crazy. And the other reason why I think that might actually also be true is all of the newest mounts that's been added to the store have almost always come with a 6-month sub. Yeah. So it's clear that not many players are willing to buy a mount straight off of the store. People will buy the mount if it's a 6-month sub because they get 6 months to play the game and then also happily a mount. But not many people will buy a mount if it's not attached to some kind of sub. So they just realized we can put a lot more things, because I'm not saying no one's buying stuff off the store, but Blizzard can now justify basically making 5 items every 2-3 months to put on the in-game store. Why? Because technically you can get it for free, right? You can literally just get it in the game, but there are still people that will buy it, and because there will be people that will buy it, we're still making money on that side as well. So this is sort of like making sure that they can sort of best of both worlds kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's like the way that I've been looking at this feature is like there's clearly, there's an incentive for you to remain engaged for longer periods of time, of course, because you're going to be getting the traders thing that gives you access to the. But fundamentally, what I've looked at this ability is for starters, it all depends on what the activities are, because we just got to see the categories of activities, and we saw some of them, but it doesn't necessarily say much. Like one of them said, imbibe like a certain potion. The other one said, show your love to the aspects, which could be something as easy as maybe /love on the aspects. Yeah. Who knows, right? So it all depends on what it is.
500 world quests in 24 hours.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, right? Which is like, so it all depends on what specifically the tasks are, because there was one category in there which was dungeons. So is it like, okay, so it'll be something like do 5 dungeons and you get the 50 points? Because if that's the case, I'm like, all right, that's all right. Even though 5 dungeons is still a significant time investment for just 50 points, so maybe they'll have to tune that a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But it could be like something like, oh, do this dungeon, do that dungeon. But if they're like, okay, so we want you to do this dungeon, but without tanks, that'll be like, okay, fuck you. Like, I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Like,
what the fuck? That could actually be fun. Not gonna lie.
No.
Dude, that could actually be fun.
No, but that's the thing. But that's the thing that I'm saying. You get the point, right? It's If you look, for instance, at the way that they did things with Halo Infinite, it'd be something like, oh, snipe people without zooming in. So somebody would be running around with a sniper being fucking worthless for like God knows how many matches to snipe people without using the zoom in, and you're just a nuisance for everybody else. So if those are the type of activities they plan on putting in there, this feature fucking blows. If it's just activities that you can do and you can just do regular shit the way that you want to do it and just get the points, then it's good. And the way that I look at it is like, okay, is the game better or worse for having this feature? And it's like, well, I'm getting access to things that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
And if I don't do it, the game is the same thing as it was before, so I don't lose anything. And just for going to Stormwind once a month, I can still just get something at least every 2 months without even doing any of the activities. You'll get 1,000 every 2 months, which will let you buy pretty much anything in the store. So it feels like it's just a positive feature. Like it doesn't take anything away from the game. And I can get access to things I didn't have previously.
Not just that, but it actually keeps the open world alive for longer.
Yeah, if you get activities in the old world and shit, yeah.
Yeah, not just the old world, even Dragonflight, because there's going to come a point where you're going to have all the gear, right? You're going to be fully geared. You no longer need to do any of that. You're going to have all of the renown. You're no longer, because you're waiting for the next patch to get renown cap increases and stuff like that. So there's no real reason to be out in the open world anymore. But because of this new trading post system, there's always a reason for you to be out in the open world if you care about something like the trading post. So you're always, literally year-round, you're going to see people running around doing world quests. You're going to see people running around doing dungeons. Why? Because the trading post.
In a way,
they want to get all the trading post stuff.
See, I'm actually thinking, this thing just popped into my mind, which is Final Fantasy XIV has this thing called the daily roulettes, which you haven't really gotten to do a whole lot of because you didn't get to the end game. But basically, when you get to the end game, you have these daily roulettes that include something like running an alliance raid, running a regular raid, running a dungeon, running an expert dungeon. And basically, this is one of the things that they use to populate old world content. This is the reason why you can go do a dungeon in Realm Reborn and somebody will show up in there to do that dungeon with you because they can do a leveling roulette and that will give them a chunk of EXP. World of Warcraft can kind of use the trading post in a similar way where it's like, hey, this month, do these dungeons in the open world or something and we'll scale you or whatever. Yeah. And then you'll be playing with brand new players that are just starting the game, or maybe somebody who's leveling an alt or something, and you start populating old world content by using this. I think that'd be genius if they do that.
I have no problem with this. Like 100%. I have no problem with this because it actually makes the store make more sense now. Because it immediately is going to take a lot of my anger away. Because I want to be clear, I fucking despise the WoW store. Yes. I despise all game stores. I don't think game stores should exist. Even Final Fantasy, for whom I have nothing but praise, their store is fucking disgusting. But when you can get the stuff in the game, even though it is slower, I agree, but that's fine. Because now the items that is added to the cash store isn't behind a paywall insofar as you can just never get it. Yes, it's behind a paywall for a while, but you can play the game and you will eventually get your mount. It will come into rotation. You can freeze it if you don't have enough points, and you can eventually get it. So anything that is added to the cash store now is also, in a sort of vague way, added to the game.
I had
as just part of playing it.
I had this one comment from someone who said that, like, well, anything that people wanted to get from the store, they can already get it through WoW token. And it's like, I think you grossly estimate the amount of people that can afford to just buy WoW tokens willy-nilly.
Yeah.
All right?
Like the WoW token don't make that much gold.
Yeah, the WoW token is anywhere from 200,000 to 300,000 gold. I don't know what the value of it is right now. This is literally the first expansion where I've made more than 100,000 gold by myself. Like on previous expansions, I've basically bummed off my friends. I'm just like, hey, bro, can I get some fucking gold, man? I suck at making gold. This time was the first time that I can actually afford, if I wanted to, just go like, oh, I can actually buy like 2 WoW tokens and not go bankrupt and still have enough money to play the fucking game.
You want to hear something disgusting? This is going to piss a lot of people off in chat. So I have a friend, very good friend of mine. His name's Skills. He doesn't play WoW anymore. He actually doesn't like WoW. But he comes back at least once a year or so. Whenever Activision announces a new Call of Duty,
this looks like
whenever Blizzard announces a new game, he comes back. He takes about 3 weeks. He makes a couple of million gold. And then he buys a shit ton of tokens. He uses those tokens to buy the new game. And then he unsubs from WoW and he starts playing the new game. That dude hasn't played for a Blizzard game in years. Like, it's been years.
So he doesn't even sub. He just, like, reactivates his account through, like, BattleNet balance from WoW tokens, I'm assuming. Yeah. He always just leaves, like, $15 in the account. And then it's like, okay, time to farm out a Call of Duty game.
Yeah. And the dude doesn't even leave the capital city. He just plays the auction house, and he makes a couple of milli, and then he buys whatever the fuck he wanted to buy, and then he leaves. So it happens. There are players that play the game that way.
What a fucking giga Chad, dude. Your friend's a fucking giga Chad.
Dude, the guy's insane. Every single fucking MMO that we've ever played, his first stop is always the auction house. And he doesn't play MMOs if they don't have an auction house.
Damn.
Because that's all he cares about. He just wants to make as much gold as possible. This dude actually, when Diablo still had the real money auction house.
Oh, no.
Right? He made, I believe at the time, he made like something like between 2,000 and 4,000 pounds a month off of the real money auction house in Diablo. Like the dude bought himself shit on it just by fucking making money. Like, he was actually one of the few people that was distraught when he found out that the real money auction house is being removed.
Like, what do you mean? I have to go to work
funding his
now?
lifestyle. He was funding his fucking lifestyle. Like, he's just a natural salesman. Wisps knows him as well.
Yeah.
In chat.
Okay.
But
so
I think it's good. I think it's a good system.
So let's start going into fucking lightning round, because otherwise we're kind of fucked. But can
I now talk about the Emperor of Mankind, please?
Okay,
because I have to mention this at least. Chat will fucking kill me if I don't.
I still have to talk about like Diablo 4 as well, but sure, let's go to Henry Cavill.
Yeah, we have to talk about Henry Cavill because Henry Cavill is about to become the Emperor of Mankind. So Henry Cavill in Amazon is rumored to be working on a Warhammer 40k series or movie. Now, anyone that is only a WoW Andy will not understand why this is important. But for anyone that knows anything about Warhammer, this is the most important thing ever.
What type of so he's not going to play the actual Emperor. So what type of character could he actually play? Like you've said 2 names of characters. I don't know who those characters are. I'm just looking for, would he be an Inquisitor? Would he be a Space Marine? Like what is he?
No, I think because he's said before, so Henry Cavill in interviews have said before, if he does play a character, he wants it to be a decent character. Because the thing about Warhammer, for anyone that doesn't know, it is called a grim dark fantasy for a reason. It is incredibly fucking dark, and there are characters that do beyond questionable things, characters that do incredibly evil things. And so he doesn't want to play any of those characters. So right now, I think it's between Lionel Johnson. Someone in like earlier in my stream mentioned that Lionel Johnson is one of his favorite characters, or Rabute Gilliman. These are Primarchs. They're like the Emperor's children, right? The Emperor designed them from the ground. They're genetically engineered. So they're like fucking 18 feet long and bulky as fuck, and they have multiple hearts, and their genes are incredible. So he's probably going to play one of those characters. I don't think he'll play an Inquisitor because they are dicks.
So
the Inquisitors are evil.
So are these characters? So these characters they're going to be like Space Marines? They put on the actual Space Marine suit or something like that, or no?
No. So Space Marines are the children of the Primarchs.
Okay.
So every Primarch has a gene seed, and his gene seed is then used to make his children, and those are called the Space Marines. And then every single one of these Space Marines have like different names and different abilities and stuff that they're really good with and really strong at. So the Primarchs, it sort of goes Emperor. I think there's a little bit of disagreement within the community on this, but it would be, in my read of the lore, it would be Emperor, Custodes, Primarchs, and then Space Marines and everyone else would sort of go down the list in terms of power levels. Custodes is like fucking insane powerful. But yeah, so he's probably going to play like something to that effect. Don't ask me where this will take place. The universe is insanely big. So there's no way. How much do you know about Warhammer?
I don't know too much, but like I would want to see him play a Space Marine though. That's what I'd want. I want to do like a fucking Ultramarine, bro. What do you mean? Like the Space Marine game you were playing the other day.
Yeah, I mean, the Space Marine game is cool, but why would you not want him as a Primarch? They're so much more badass.
Because I want him on a fucking suit of power armor, dude. I just love the Space Marines.
Yeah, but the Primarch suits of power armor.
So they have power armor as well.
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, fucking yeah, that's what I want. I just want Henry Cavill in a big fucking suit of armor with a bolter and a chainsword, fucking beating people down. That's what I want.
Each of them have their own weapons. So Lionel Johnson, I believe, has a... Does he have a sword?
He better have a fucking chainsword. No, wait.
Rabute Gilliman has a sword. Sorry, Rabute Gilliman has a flaming fucking sword.
Even better. What if you had one of the big hammers? What are they called? I don't know the names of them, but like one of the big fucking two-handed...
Yeah, like the Warhammer shit.
Yeah, dude, fuck yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, but that, again, that's a Space Marine thing. So every single one of the Primarchs have their own preferred weapon. But here's why I want him to be Rabute Gilliman. Rabute Gilliman has the Emperor's sword. It's a flaming sword.
Nah, fuck that shit, dude. Swords are for pussies.
Dude, listen, this sword, right? If he stabs a demon with this sword, the sword doesn't only kill the demon, it kills the soul of the demon. Like, it perma kills anything off the warp. It's the only weapon that we know of on the side of normal, so of the side of the Materium. The Immaterium has their version of that weapon. But on the Materium side, that's the only weapon that we know of that can do that, where it literally will rip your soul out of your fucking body and kill it. That's why it's cool. And that's why you should be a particular man.
Like, listen, I don't care. So long as it's Henry Cavill in a fucking big suit of armor, give me that. Sure thing. I'll take it. But yeah, it kind of, I'm super surprised that, like, we had the Witcher thing where Henry Cavill stopped playing the Witcher because apparently the writers, what he said at the time was like, I'll continue to play the character for as long as they remain true to the character or something like that. Which basically means that they probably fuck that up real bad.
Yeah, so the next season is probably a huge fuck up.
It's probably going to be a massive fuck up, right? And then DC goes like, oh yeah, also he's not going to be Superman anymore either. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Because Henry Cavill doesn't strike me as the type of person that's an asshole. Like, he seems like someone who's pretty much, you know, a well-rounded guy. And the way in which he abandoned
these projects. He's a gamer,
projects,
you know you can trust him.
Yeah, exactly. He's a gamer. Yeah. He's one of us. He's one of us, man. He's not an asshole. So it's like, it leads me to believe that these companies, they're just like trying to churn out shit. And Henry Cavill's reached the point of his career where it's like, no, I don't have to fucking, you know, play these characters when you guys are designing them to be complete pieces of shit. I want to be associated with characters that are cool, not characters that are a piece of shit. That's the vibe that I'm getting. And the interesting thing about Henry Cavill is that whenever he abandoned both of these projects, he didn't just like, you know, he left and he was like, well, it didn't work out. Fuck it. He left like very warm messages for the people that were coming after. Like, he left as a professional. He's like, yep, I'm leaving. I'm hanging my cape. I wish everybody the best of luck, blah, blah, blah. Like, he seems like a nice guy. So I don't know. I don't understand what's going on.
He seems like a very stand-up guy, and I think it might also just be the fact. So there's no denying that they're fucking up the Witcher series. They've started to fuck it up in season 2 already, where they're hyper focused on Yennefer and Ciri and Triss, when these characters really are side characters. The whole point of it being the Witcher is it only really features those characters when they intersect with Geralt. So when the story is required for them to be there. So that might be one of the reasons he decided, this is really not true to form. But it could also just,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I just wanted to say, I think the Superman thing might just be him realizing that he is going to be stupid busy with Warhammer. Because if Amazon is trying to pick up Warhammer, they may actually try to pick up more than just a single series or movie.
I think that he one of the other things that why he left Witcher was because he wanted to go do Superman, which is one of his most iconic roles. I think that the Superman thing was a DC fuck up. I think I don't know. I watched the Angry Joe video on it, a little bit on it, and I think it might be more of a DC thing than necessarily Henry Cavill being like, well, I don't want to be Superman anymore. I mean, who the fuck doesn't want to be Superman?
Well, I personally, I don't know, right? I think there could be multiple reasons for it. I don't know why he would quit. We don't have any of the
we don't have
there.
Info. Yeah,
I'm saying, like, all I'm saying is, if he's quitting to go do Warhammer, not a great loss. A gain, actually. It's Warhammer, bro. Like, fuck Superman. Fuck Superman, bro. It's Warhammer.
Angry Joe's going to be very sad with you saying that, because you know Angry Joe watches this podcast, is going to be like, man, my man Echo really did me dirty like that? Fuck.
Angry Joe can suck my dick. Whoa, it's Warhammer.
No.
It's Warhammer.
Listen, no, I'm gonna stop you right there. Angry Joe's a real one, man. Don't fucking be.
It's Warhammer.
Don't be doing Angry Joe dirty like that.
Superman can suck Gilliman's dick. It is Warhammer.
I mean, look, I want you to understand something. I don't give two shits about Superman. I don't find the Superman character interesting at all. I want to make sure that I'm not like trying to suck off Superman's dick. I don't think I've always thought like Superman's just an OP character. It's kind of weird to even just like think of Superman fighting somebody else, because like, why wouldn't he just kill them? Just kill them. Just end them like this. It's like, you know, it's kind of like how Spider-Man has to pull his punches and shit, right? But, yeah.
No,
anyway,
I think
go ahead.
I think it's fine. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I mean, they've already fucked up Batman with what's his name?
Robert
Sparky
Pattinson,
Vampire Boy.
I heard that was actually a good one. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I've seen some videos. Seen videos that would indicate it was good. Yeah.
It wasn't a bad film. The thing is, the next movie will inform just how good or bad the film was. Because he's playing this incredibly dark fucking emo kid the whole time. Whether he's Batman or Bruce, doesn't fucking matter. He's just always this dark, miserable emo kid. Which is not actually how it works. Right? Because Bruce Wayne is the alter ego of Batman. That's why Bruce Wayne is almost always this like over-the-top playboy kind of thing, so that no one suspects that he is actually Batman. Whereas he plays, like, if you met him in that movie, you would be like, oh, Bruce, are you Batman? Because you have literally the same personality. So it's kind of like, we'll see what the next one sort of presents. Because if the next one is exactly the same, then it's like, what the fuck, bro? This is not Bruce Wayne. This is just Batman without his suit. But overall, it wasn't a bad movie. It could have been better. I think the story wasn't that great. He was a good Batman. The story itself wasn't phenomenal, in my opinion. It could probably have been a bit better. But we'll see anyways. There's another movie that we have to talk about. There's so many movies going on, bro. This is one that you would actually like. Before we talk about the one that I would actually like. The God of War movie.
Okay. Oh, God of War. Amazon, is it a movie or is it a series? I thought it was a series. Did I get that wrong? It says
series
God of War,
or movie, or I'm not
God
sure.
of War TV show is what it says in the article.
So, TV show would be series then.
Yeah.
So there's a God of War. How do you feel about the fact that they're starting with the 2018 series rather than with the first one?
Is it? I haven't read the whole article, so it's based on the 2018 God of War.
Yes.
I think that's really fucking stupid. I think that's stupid because I kind of feel like Amazon would have. I mean, I don't know who, because I think it says Sony ordered this. I think it would make a lot more sense to go into Kratos' past, because right now, a lot of people that got into God of War with the 2018 version, they probably don't even know, why is Kratos like pale white? They probably don't even know why that is, which for those of you for the two of you that might listen to this podcast that don't know that either, it's because he wears the ashes of his dead wife and daughter because he killed them. And then he was cursed to wear them for eternity. So he's not just pale white by choice. He carries the ashes of his fucking family on him because he was tricked into murdering them. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people also don't even, like, there's so much that you would need to know. Starting in 2018, unless they do it correctly, the way that they would have to do it is with flashbacks. So they may actually decide to do a bunch of flashbacks. Yeah. Because I don't think a lot of people would understand how he even became the God of War.
The God of War.
They wouldn't understand the deal that he had with Ares and how Ares actually betrayed him. And this is what caused him to just go on a fucking rampage and eventually kill all of the Greek gods. Or Roman gods. Was it Greek or Roman?
No, Greek.
Yeah, it was the Greek gods. Yeah,
it was Greek mythology.
So, why he killed all of the fucking Greek gods and why he went apeshit. I don't think a lot of people even understand that. I think a lot of people don't understand these power levels and how these power levels work. I don't like it because it's the same problem that I have with Warcraft, the Warcraft movie. The Warcraft movie also sort of started at the worst place ever. Because a lot of the things that you would need to know in order to care about the Warcraft movie happened long before when the movie actually starts.
Yeah.
And then you're asked to care about the Horde and the Alliance, but you don't even know why you would care about the fucking Horde and the Alliance. So this one also starts, as far as I'm concerned, in a very weird spot where, it's a cool story, but what made it a cool story is all the stories that came before it, and then this one.
I think that considering that the game itself does such a good job of telling the story of the game, I don't think it makes sense to have a TV show that tells you that same story. It's almost like, I mean, of course they're gonna extend it, but I think it'd be much more interesting to just have, hey, with the TV show, we're gonna be revisiting old Kratos, so that then forms you what new Kratos is like and why new Kratos is like this, which is what the information that a lot of people are not going to have. I think that'd be much more interesting. But yeah, the problem is also the scale that you have with what old Kratos did, whereas 2018 is much more grounded and easier to make. So, because if you're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to just have fucking Kratos climb up on top of giant CGI monsters like 80% of the show, it's like, well, not sure if we have the budget for that shit. So I don't know.
Who's playing
Who will play Kratos? We don't know.
The Rock.
It's The Rock?
I would say The Rock. Why wouldn't you take The Rock? The Rock would work as Kratos. The guy's fucking jacked to the teeth. He would work as Kratos. I would probably pick The Rock.
It's like if I could have any actor at any stage of his life, I'd be like, can I get 90s Stallone to play Kratos? 90s Stallone would be a badass Kratos, dude. Come on.
He would actually. I'm just trying to think.
Yes.
So the problem with The Rock has the body of Kratos. Like, he would be able to pull off the physique part of it. What I don't like about The Rock is I don't think his voice works for God of War.
Yeah, exactly.
His voice isn't Kratos' voice.
That's why I'm saying Stallone.
Stallone could work, is it?
Yes.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that would be jacked to the tits. Because you have to be jacked to the tits. Like, God of War, his muscles has muscles.
Chad is saying friggin' Jason Momoa. I don't think Momoa would work. Momoa works with long hair. Kratos doesn't have long hair, so he would have to. I'm not sure if Momoa would work bald. That's what I'm saying. I don't think a bald Momoa would work. I don't know. Because I've always seen Momoa with like long ass hair. Every single thing he's ever worked on, as far as I'm aware, is always long hair. So I'm just not picturing a bald Momoa, is what I'm saying.
Maybe they find some kind of actor that we've never heard of.
Yeah, that'd be good too.
To play him.
I just do Christopher. Just have Christopher Judge. I'm joking.
I don't think we should do. In that case, how about we just get Jude Law, or what's that fuck from Notting Hill? Let's get some rom-com actors to play Kratos.
Hey, what the fuck? You know that Christopher Judge is jacked as fuck, though. I mean, he used to be.
Yeah,
no, I don't think he is as much.
I don't think we should. I don't think we should.
And he has the voice.
Too far out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about. This is a great sort of week for video games going multimedia, because we have Death Stranding that is also being turned into a movie. And what's interesting about this, for anyone that might not... Okay, so first and foremost, if you've not played Death Stranding, please don't believe half of the reviewers.
Yes.
Because there's a shit ton of people that have no fucking clue just how good that game is. Because they keep going on about, oh, it's just a running simulator. If you thought that Death Stranding was a fucking running simulator, you clearly didn't play it right. Like, you didn't understand half of what you were doing. It is so much more than that. It is such an incredible game, and the story is fucking phenomenal. But what's most important about this is Kojima isn't just handing off the project to some big-time film studio. He is literally producing it.
So you can expect the longest movie ever made. It's going to be like 10 hours long, give or take. So you need to like take a whole day to actually just watch the Death Stranding movie.
Yeah, but I mean,
our boy Kojima is not known for leaving a whole lot in the director's room. He just puts it all out there.
Yeah, and he's dark, and Death Stranding is dark, so it's gonna be phenomenal. Like, seeing some of those strands and shit. Oh my god, dude!
I'm very curious to see what that is gonna be like. Death Stranding 2 also got announced at the Game Awards, which I think that Norman Reedus leaked that like a a long time ago already. He was like, "Oh yeah, we're working on the second one." People are like, "What the fuck? What are you?" He just like straight up leaked that shit like a Chad. But I'm very curious to see how they're going to evolve the mechanics. Like, I haven't played the director's cut, which showed here's one of the weird things about Death Stranding. I kind of wish I had played it a long time after it came out, because they added a bunch of new shit that I never got to see when I played through the game. Even though it's just like, Death Stranding is such an amazing social game in a weird way, because it's not a social game in the way that you think, but it is very much a social game where everybody's helping each other out in meaningful ways. And I just love the experience, dude. So yeah, I'm curious to see what Kojima comes up with.
It was so cool. Whenever you put down a ladder, you know that someone else in the world is seeing your ladder, and they can actually give you likes. So you can actually get likes whenever someone uses one of your things. It's such a cool fucking experience. Just absolutely phenomenal.
I'd be building bridges. I'd be building bridges all over the place and finishing bridges that other people had started and shit. It was awesome.
I went nuts on roads, bro. I eventually stopped playing the game, and I just looted everything I could because I was building roads. I was just trying to finish all of the highways. That was my main goal in the game, was finishing every single one of the highways. And then I learned that they actually fall apart and you have to keep them up, keep them fed. And I was like, what the fuck? This is a lot of work. And then, finally I did do a zip line. I finished the game. I had the credits and everything, and then you get back into the game and you can sort of run around and do random shit. And so I said, wait a second, I have the coolest idea ever. So what I did is I started at the end of the game. I built an entire zipline system all the way to the beginning of the game. Well, the beginning of the second area of the game. Just this giant zipline. And then I was like, all right, here we go. I just went on the zipline fucking straight through to the other side. So cool.
That was the way that I did the mountain section. I just ziplined the whole thing, so every quest was just one zipline away. It was ziplines to ziplines, and that's the thing. That's why people think it's a walking simulator, because they don't look at the puzzle and they're like, "Oh, I can make a thing here," and the puzzle changes for everybody because everybody gets different pieces from other players, so everybody has to do the puzzle in different ways. But people don't think about the puzzle. They're like, well, I have to go from A to B, and I'm going to hit the auto run, and here we go from A to B, and it's done. And it's like, it's not what you're supposed to do. I mean, you do that at the start to get shit, but it's puzzles.
Yeah, you're supposed to puzzle your way through it. Before we end this, did you have any games that you're looking forward to that was announced at the Game Awards? Because we didn't actually talk about the Game Awards, really.
I have a list of games that I care about that are coming like in 2023. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
So I'm sort of excited for The Last of Us Part 1 PC port, because I never actually played The Last of Us Part 1.
Okay, that one's worth it.
I'm really looking forward to the PC port for it. For me, I don't know if you have this on your list, but Jedi Survivor.
Yes. Jedi Survivor. I'm interested. I played Fallen Order. I liked it a lot. It was real good.
Dune Awakening. I'm only excited for Dune Awakening because I'm a huge fan of Dune.
It's gonna be a Survivor game, so I'm just expecting like Rust, whatever. It's not my thing.
But it's still Dune. That could be cool, right? What do you have on your list?
So, of stuff that's coming out, not everything was like announced in there. There was stuff that had already been known, but like for 2023, I'm like Wild Hearts, which is going to be kind of like Monster Hunter style game. Wolong, which is kind of like Neo game. Not sure if you ever played Neo. Jedi Survivor, Diablo 4. They announced the release date, 6th of June. We still have to talk about Diablo 4, by the way. There's what was the name? Oh yeah, they announced Remnant 2. Remnant from the Ashes.
I played the first one. I got bored as fuck with it.
I liked it, so that one got announced. But the most important, I mean, Death Stranding 2 got announced. Obviously, I'm curious about that. But the most important one, literally the most important game that was announced at the Game Awards, Armored Core 6.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's mechs. You fucking dude. It's so good.
But I would disagree with you so hard on that being the most important one.
It's 1,000,000% the most important one.
What about Baldur's Gate 3?
I don't care about Baldur's Gate 3, dude. That game's in early access.
You don't get...
Let me explain to you something. Here's and this is a huge problem that I have with early access is that by the time the game comes out, I've lost interest. It's the same thing as like you playing, like, you know how we talk about solved MMOs? It's kind of like the same thing because you're stringing me along for so long, for years and years and years, you're stringing me along with this early access. By the time the game comes out, like for instance, Hades, fantastic game, right? I played it during the early access phase, played a fuck ton of it. And then they start adding more and more features and more features. But I'm like, I already played that game. I played it. I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm
but
good.
the thing with Baldur's Gate 3 is the early access is only for the first the first act.
Yeah.
And more importantly, they've already said in an interview, the first act that we're currently playing is only about 60% of the actual act. Like, they've already added a shit ton of stuff to the actual act that by the time the game goes live fully in August next year, it's going to be as if you're playing a brand new game with those first act, because there's a lot of choices that they purposefully left out of the first act because they just wanted to make sure that everything is working and that the game feels good. So a lot of the choices and stuff that they've added to the first act isn't available yet to play. You're going to actually have to play when the game goes live. And so I actually feel like this is early access done right.
I'm not saying it's not done right. I'm saying that for me personally, early access tends to kill my buzz for most games. That's the problem.
I can respect that.
It's a me problem. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what they're doing. It's just something that for me specifically, like whenever it comes to early access, what tends to happen is like, I'll get really excited. Like I was super excited about Baldur's Gate when it initially released.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm going to hold off so that I can actually play the final thing. So I haven't even played it yet.
Yeah, I haven't played. I've played like 10 hours.
I feel like it's been going for so long that I'm like, my brain is automatically filtering Baldur's Gate. It's like, whatever. Because you keep hearing about it and hearing about it and hearing about it, and it doesn't come out.
Okay, but there's another contentious issue that I have with you saying the wrong game is your best game coming out of the Game Awards.
Oh no.
Because I'll accept the fact that you're saying early access, but then also you don't say that it's Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2.
It wasn't announced at the Game Awards. Is it even 2023 Space Marine 2?
Yeah, it's in 2023 Space Marine 2.
If it was announced at the Game Awards, it was last year. It wasn't this year.
No, because I
already knew about Space Marine 2.
Yeah, we knew that Space Marine 2 was coming. They announced that it's coming next year.
Oh, okay.
And they gave an amazing fucking trailer for it. Like, absolutely amazing. It's only 1 minute, 15 or 20 seconds or something, but it's fucking phenomenal.
Nah, dude, but friggin' Armored Core, man. Armored Core.
Yeah, I don't agree. And then you have Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty DLC being announced. Also really fucking important. I'm just going through the list here. You have Final Fantasy 16 being getting a new trailer.
No,
again,
it's in my list.
Be on that fucking list.
It's in my list. I just I missed it when I was going through it, but it is in my list. Yeah, 16.
You've done this. We'll cut this, but chat, cut this out. Cut this out. He did not say it in his original list. Note this. That Rurikhan is not excited.
I'm a million percent excited for 16. I'm a million percent excited for 16. But I'm still more excited about Armored Core 6 though.
Please clip Rurikhan's original list and then just share it across all of social media.
Yes.
Saying, oh my God, he's not even excited for Final Fantasy 16.
You bastard. How dare you? Dude, I've been shilling 16 for so long already. I've already said it's going to be the best Final Fantasy they've ever made.
What
14 is the best up until now, and then 16 is going to top that.
What sucks is I can't play it when it first comes out.
Yeah,
because
man.
it's releasing to the peasants first. Like, what the fuck?
Oh man, dude. Yeah, man. Good peasant life, man. You know, it's
but
like you guys.
Why would you give it to the peasants first? I never understand this. Like the gaming decisions that these guys make. But right, since we are like we are at the end of it, Diablo 4. You wanted to talk about crunch and stuff.
Diablo 4, there was a major article on Washington Post that reveals that Diablo 4 has been going through development hell. Since it is a game based around the concept of hell, they figured they'd make everybody's lives a miserable, hellish experience, right? So apparently the game's been rewritten a bunch of times. You know, they brought in one of your boys from CD Projekt Red to write the story, and he started writing about... how should I say this without you know that purple fruit that's little balls, purple fruit? You know what I'm talking about? Grapes?
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah, grapes. He started writing a story that was all about grapes, if you know what I mean. Without the G. Oh yeah, your boy from CD Projekt Red was all just like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen, and it was really weird I think it's kind of weird to tackle that topic in a loot-driven action RPG. I kind of feel like that's not maybe the best game to tackle that type of topic, but they basically had to rewrite the story multiple times, and now they're crunching everybody into oblivion. They're giving people like DoorDash credit so that they don't leave the office if you work more than 10 hours a day or something like that. But it's like, all of this is really fucking bad. And it's really sad to me because I was really hoping like, dude, Dragonflight is doing so well, right? Dragonflight is doing gangbusters. It's almost like you're seeing Blizzard turn over a new leaf, and it feels good to be playing a Blizzard game because it doesn't feel like they're reaching into your wallet all the time and just like fucking you over with all these different systems. And then you hear about all of this shit, but this isn't even all of it, because before that they announced the pre-orders. Have you seen the pre-orders for Diablo 4?
Yeah, like it seems to be quite the push.
It's
if I'm being very kind.
It's fucking disgusting. So for starters, I had like a bunch of...
I saw your video on it.
Oh, you saw my video?
I watched your video on it. Yeah, I watched your video on it.
It was very frustrating to see all of that shit because, for starters, the prices are jacking up through the roof. Like, what the fuck? 80 euros on consoles. It's like 70 euros on PC, 80 euros on European consoles. I'm like, what the fuck? It's $70 in the States. Like, what the fuck is going on here? 80 euros. Yeah. You're insane. Like, this is way too expensive. And 80 euros for the standard version, because then you have the deluxe version with the 4 days early access plus access to the actual season pass, because we're going to have access to the free version of the season pass. The deluxe version has access to the regular version of the season pass. And it seems like the other version above that had access to the premium season pass, which leads me to believe that there's going to be 3 season pass tracks. Yeah. That's insane. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, but this is Blizzard's push, you know? This is I've said this before. One of the main reasons why because Diablo 3 was meant to have another DLC, and one of the main reasons they decided to cut that DLC was because they could never actually figure out how to make Diablo make money. And now they have. They built this from the ground up to make sure that Diablo could now make money. And this is them basically making up for all the years that they couldn't make extra money off of Diablo. I'm still excited for the game because I do think the game looks really good. But I really hope that they don't end up destroying the game with monetization.
It's actually
very easy that it could.
It's actually a really interesting thing, which is a couple of years, I think it was a year ago, give or take, at some point last year, or maybe even at the beginning of this year, I was reporting on one of the videos that they had made where they talk about, there's this season journey thing that you're going to be doing, and then there's this battle pass thing, and I'm just like, so wait a minute, How the fuck does that make any sense? You're going to have a season journey, which if you've played Diablo 3, you know what the season journey is, which is basically a battle pass. Yeah. Right? It's basically a battle pass. And then on top of it, you have a battle pass. And I remember talking about this, and there were people that were saying, no, dude, this is great. What are you talking about? You're crazy. And then it turns out on the Washington Post that they're actually going to cancel one of those things because it was two separate teams developing it. And one of the teams was working on the season journey. The other team was working on the battle pass. And what they realized is that they just had two fucking battle passes. It was the same thing. And so they deleted one of them. It's like, bro, what the fuck? What is going on with this game? It's very frustrating, dude. As someone who's a huge fan of Diablo, it's so fucking frustrating.
I'm not always convinced about these claims from the gaming industry about about crunch and stuff. And I'm not saying that there isn't crunch, because there are instances of incredibly horrible crunch levels. You know, we had stories out of Activision where people were literally forced to sleep at work because they were effectively just non-stop being driven to work. But there are times where, you know, no matter what job you're in, doesn't matter what job you're in, there are times when you're required to work a hell of a lot more. I remember back in the day, you know, used to do construction before I started my YouTube channel. Whenever you neared the completion of a project, you'd sometimes be on the site 18 hours a day. Like, just fucking working your shit off because there's stuff that needs to be finished. What the fuck are you going to tell the developer? Oh, we couldn't get done in time? They have a date that they need to hand this thing over, and you're not finished with it. You know, it is what it is. You have to push for it. And every job has this, right? Yeah, even us, we're YouTubers, and we work for ourselves. How many times have you spent until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning where you're fucking grinding to get everything out because you have so much shit that needs to get out? Well, there you go. Crunch is just part of life.
So here's the thing, right? I think that as when you're someone who is an independent YouTuber, streamer, whatever, the difference there is that you're working for yourself. You're not working for a corporation. So it's basically this is your job. This is what you do for yourself. It's not for it's not you're not working to give Bobby Kotick another yacht. Okay, you're working to give Jeff Bezos another yacht, and that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, that's true.
But you get the point. When you're working for yourself, it's a different thing, because at any point in time you can just go, no, fuck it, I'm not doing it today. And you don't do it. And there's no consequence. I mean, there's going to be consequences on like your bottom line, but there's no long-term consequence, right? It's going to be like, well, this week I'm making less money. Next week I'll make up for it. It's whatever. So that's a different thing. But even back when I used to work because you worked in construction. I used to work for like a bunch of other different firms before I landed into content creation, right?
Yeah.
So back then I would also, because I worked in IT, there were, when you're working in IT in a small company, which doesn't have the budget to just be like, oh yeah, we just hire a bunch of IT team. No, there's one person there that does IT for them. You can't fuck around with people's computers during day because they're working. So you can't go there and like do maintenance on their computers during day. So there'd be some times where I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to work all night. So I'd be there during the day. I'd be doing shit during the day. And then I'm going to work all night. And then the next day I'd just be like, hey, listen, I'm not coming in tomorrow. Hey, it is what it is. So like I'd crunch the fuck out of it, get it done, boom, done. Now, when it comes to video game development, they say they do this over long periods of time, of course. And I've also done this over long periods of time in other jobs where I've been working. I've worked like in metalworking as well. And just like you said, when you're nearing the completion of a project, sometimes it's like, okay, things haven't come together. Everybody gather up and boom, today we're crunching, we're getting it done. So I've crunched my whole fucking life. But the thing is, I've always had the options like, hey, next day I'm not coming in. Hey, it is what it is, right? I've crunched all fucking night. We got this shit done. Not tomorrow. I need to fucking rest. And the problem seems to be that with these companies, there is no rest afterwards.
Reprieve.
There's no reprieve. It's just like you just grind months on end and it's not sustainable. And here's the worst part about the crunching in a lot of these companies is that I firmly believe that this actually destroys their productivity. Because they're crunching so much that you start getting tunnel vision. Like, cause that's something that I noticed with myself as well. Like when I spend too much time working, it destroys my productivity. Cause like you begin to get tunnel vision and you're just thinking about it one way. And then if you just take one day to rest, next day you come in and you're like, shit, I can just like do it like this instead, do this other video instead, do this other thing instead. And it'll be way better than fucking tunnel visioning this thing that I've been tunnel visioning nonstop. The problem is that these companies, they don't realize that. They're just like, no, we put more people, more time, more hours, problem gets solved. It's like, no, it doesn't. It actually gets worse.
Yeah.
Because then you lose talent, because they've been losing talent nonstop. This team has been bleeding talent like nobody's business, and it's a serious problem. I think that when this game comes out, by the way, I think it's going to be a terrible fucking experience. And it's going to be one of those that maybe they'll fix it within the first semester of the game being out. And within the first semester to the first year, maybe then the game will be an okay experience.
You see, why I said I have a problem believing all of the crunch is because of exactly this. There are some instances of crunch that is truly terrible. But I remember reading when Jason Schreier did his first articles about crunch. There were like one of the studios that he highlighted that the developers had to come in for a week before the launch of their game, and they had to work 9 to 11-hour days for a week. And it's like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? That's like a holiday for me. Like, fuck. If I only have to work like 9 hours a day, that's a holiday. That's me on holiday, like fucking having a good time. That's not crunch. What you're talking about is just someone who doesn't want to work hard. Like, I'm not saying you should do that all the time, but I think a lot of people are in this sort of mindset of you are never allowed to work longer than what your contract states, which is 8 hours. It's like, well, the real world doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes shit happens and you have to just deal with it. Now, does that mean that all of the shit that just happens is your fault and that all instances of shit just happens should be up to you to fix? No, because there are moments, like a good example of this is a game that I actually love, Cyberpunk 2077. I've said this multiple times. I love that game. But the reason Cyberpunk was in the problems that it was in wasn't because of the developers. It wasn't their fuck up. It was the management that overpromised, not actually checking with the developers if what they promised could actually fucking be done. And then they pushed for a release date on an overpromised game that was way too soon. The game needed at least another year to actually sort out many of the problems. Now, in those circumstances, I do get angry at crunch because the developers are not just due to natural, things going wrong because that's life, having to work overtime. They're having to work overtime because management promised things that could not be fucking done. And I don't think management are the ones, they're probably playing golf and going to bed at a reasonable hour, while the developers are working their fucking butts off trying to fix the shit that the management promised in the first place. So this is why I'm sort of like, I don't always know what is true when it comes to crunch. But because not all types of crunch is actually crunch.
It's very hard to I find it very hard to like really point out exactly if there is a problem or there isn't a problem, because to me I'd need to be there to understand what is going on. Now, like I said, I think in the case of Blizzard, I think specifically in this case of Diablo 4, I do believe that people are getting crunched into a fine pulp.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
Because especially when you take into consideration like the previous article that we got from Jason Schreier about the troubled development. Like at one point, Dark Souls 4 was going to be a Souls-like. So it's like
Diablo 4, it was going to be a Souls-like.
It was going to be a Souls-like. So it's like, that project has gone through a lot of fucking changes, maybe a little bit too much. So yes, I believe that there's some serious problems there. And I believe that in the industry as a whole, there's usually way too many problems. But I also believe that a lot of times mainstream media, they just like to hey, big fucking headlines, let's go. Like the other day, I read a headline about from a comic, I don't know, it's some mainstream thing where they were saying like, if only players knew that in God of War Ragnarok they're actually killing children. And I knew exactly what they were talking about, and it's 1,000,000% wrong. You're not actually killing children. It's just nobody that actually wrote that. Nobody that actually wrote that article actually fucking played the video game, so they had no fucking idea what they were talking about. So it's like, a lot of the times that's what you get. It's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I see people saying that crunch shouldn't happen, and you're right. In a perfect world,
it wouldn't. Yeah,
crunch shouldn't happen. But we do not live in a perfect world. Things happen. Shit happens. You are ready to ship your game, and suddenly something happens and it breaks the fucking code. Like, there's this one action in the game that makes the game unplayable. Now, you've already promised your players the game is coming out next week. If you backtrack on that and tell players, well, actually, never mind, it's only coming out next month, you have a bunch of players that took time off work, a bunch of players that literally organized their lives in such a way. The guy paid for his wife and kids to go on a fucking holiday so they don't bother him. He booked his mom into a spa so she doesn't bother him. He told his fling on the site that she should not fucking bother him because he's with his wife and children. Whatever the case may be, he's organized his entire fucking life, and now this thing goes wrong. And you kind of have to fix that now, right? That's just going to happen. It's a nice sentiment to say, it's like saying there should never be poverty. It's like, well, life happens. Sometimes you lose your job and then you don't get another one, and that's poverty. What the fuck are you going to do about it?
The thing about it is, like, yes, crunch shouldn't happen. Crunch is not, particularly when you're crunching for a corporation, as opposed to, like I said, when you and I, when we crunch, it's a lot easier just
it's for us.
It's for us. So it's not like, again, we're not giving. Ultimately, everybody gives billionaires money. Literally everybody, because people might be saying like, well, no, because I work for a mom and pop shop, and therefore, when I crunch, when I do my things, I don't give millionaires my money. It's like,
you shop at
no. Listen, do you shop at Amazon, motherfucker? Do you go to literally any mall in the world? Yeah. Do you have a PlayStation? Yeah. Do you have an Xbox? Do you have a PC? Yeah. All of your money goes to billionaires. All of it. Literally all of it. So
which is sad as fuck. But
it's sad, but that's the truth. But the thing is, when we're crunching, we're doing it for ourselves. We can spend money on things that we care about, and it's different than when people are crunching for a corporation because they're not the ones actually getting the money. Which is why it always frustrates me so much whenever people start defending like game shops and shit. It's like, well, the developers, and I'm just like, the developers ain't seeing shit of that money, motherfucker. They ain't seeing shit. The investors and the higher ups get the fucking money, not the developers. So don't fucking start justifying cash stores and all of this, which is why, again, there's the crunch problem, but there's also the problem that the game is going through development hell. And most likely, I mean, in the article, some of the developers that they spoke to, they said, we believe this game will come out in a passable state. They're not saying this game's going to be great when it comes out. They're like, we're probably going to have we're probably going to have an okay game by the 6th of June. And then there's also the fact that you need to understand why the 6th of June, because June is the month when the Microsoft deal goes through. So that's Bobby going like, no. I want the profits from Diablo 4 before it goes to Microsoft. Those profits are mine, not Phil Spencer's. That's what Bobby wants. Bobby needs, listen, it's Bobby's world. We're all just living in it. Bobby needs another yacht. It's that simple. The reins of where your money's actually going. Remember that? Yeah, exactly. That's what's happening. That's why it's coming out on that day. That's why everybody's being crunched into a pulp. It's because Bobby needs another fucking yacht. And then there's also still the pricing shit and the million different battle passes that it has. I think the game's going to have a lot of fucking problems. Now, I'm probably going to get the deluxe version because I want to cover the game so that I can talk about this, which is something that frustrates everybody because people keep telling me, why do you keep giving Blizzard money? It's like, well, you want me to be like the reviewers that didn't play Elden Ring and said the game was shit? Is that what I'm supposed to do? No, I don't do that. I play the games that I review so that I can tell you.
Wait, is there an early access on the deluxe edition?
Yes, 4 days early access. Oh yeah, dude. It's real good. Yeah, it's great.
You should never have an early access on a pre-order.
This is what I call it's not even a pre-order, it's a digital deluxe. You can just buy it day of, you get 4 days of, well, actually no, you probably do need a pre-order, whatever. But it's like,
well, you're even if you're just pre-ordering 4 days ahead of time, you're still being rewarded for a 4 days.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, but this is what I call the Ubisoft special, because this is what Ubisoft specialized in. Like most of their games would be like 3 days early. Microsoft started doing it too with a lot of their titles. Like at least one of the Gears and one of the Forzas had that as well that I remember, but I think more titles had it too. But yeah, a lot of people started doing this shit, which I think is completely obscene. Yeah, Final Fantasy XIV does it too.
Disgusting.
Final Fantasy XIV does it too. However, Final Fantasy XIV does it on the standard version, so you don't have to pay more. It's just like, if you pre-order the game, you get the early access, that's it. But the Diablo one is like, nah, bro, we want 100 bones. You want 4 days? We want 100 bones. Bobby needs a yacht.
You see, I don't see, if you have to buy the standard edition in order to play 4 days ahead of time, then basically it's no longer a pre-order.
Yeah, you're just buying it.
It just means the game is launching 4 days before they actually state that it's launching, because you have to buy the game anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
I'm just saying, because I want to always be fair, because I know that people will call me out and they'll say, "Oh, but Final Fantasy doesn't." I'm like, yes, it does on the standard version. And here's the thing: it works for server stability, because some people pre-order, some people buy day of, and therefore it splits them. So the servers were overcrowded, but they weren't crashing. So like once you got into Endwalker, you were fine. So it's like, I can understand it from that point. And it's like, in a way, I wouldn't even give Diablo 4 as much of a pounding as I did if it was on the standard version. Like if you pre-order the standard version and you get those 4 days early access, I still don't like it, just like I don't like it in 14. But I'd be like, okay, but it's a standard version. Although the standard version of Diablo 4 is fucking 80 euros.
Dude, it's very expensive. The games are getting super fucking expensive. And they're doubling down on, it's always funny to me that Diablo Immortal launched with no problems whatsoever.
Yeah,
fucking
no problems at all.
Shit.
Yeah.
But then you have the one that everyone's been waiting for, and that one is filled with all these fucking problems. And it's like, what the actual cunt is going on in this world? Like, why are we in this world? It just feels Town World sometimes.
And this was something that I criticized on Dragonflight's launch as well, which is like, listen, Blizzard, you have no excuse. No excuse for servers exploding. There's literally no excuse. And people were, what do you mean? The other one was Netty's servers. I don't give a fuck whose servers it was. It was flawless. Copy whatever the fuck you did with the other one and sort it out. Not my problem. Yeah. I'm not here to be your fucking friend, okay? I'm paying for a service. The shit better work. You know, release date, launch, boats didn't come. I jumped through a portal. My game exploded. My character couldn't load. Everybody was like exploding once I actually got into the game. There was massive item lag. No excuses. You get zero tolerance from now on after Diablo Immortal, because Diablo Immortal had none of those problems. And it was a fucking cross-play mobile game. Fuck you. No excuses. So, look, dude, I've told you, my server tolerance for Blizzard from now on is 0. It's literally 0. The game can't even go above 200 MS when I start playing it. That's the way that it goes. I give no fucks. Dude, that's the way that I'm dealing with Blizzard servers from now on. I give no fucks. I have 0 tolerance. Every time they fuck it up, I'm going to be like, hey, remember Diablo Immortal? That worked flawlessly, didn't it? Fucking sort it out. Not my problem.
Yeah. I we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they pull this one out of the fire and we actually get a really good game, because I really want Diablo 4 to be good.
Of course.
It looks good. It looks promising. And I am a huge Diablo fan. So, yeah, it needs to fucking knock it out of the park.
Guess what, Accolonn? You have about 2 weeks to play your little Diablo game. Oh, no, wait. No, you don't, because you can't play Final Fantasy 16. Bitch.
Fuck you, bro. Yeah, I can't play Final Fantasy.
That's evil. I'm sorry.
It's so sad though. Like, why the fuck would it be a PlayStation exclusive of all things? Dude. Could have been an Xbox exclusive. Then we got it on PC too.
It's gonna be a good month for Sony ponies, man. But I'll tell you what though. I'll give Diablo 4 one thing, assuming they can deliver on it.
Yeah.
Full crossplay.
That is
full crossplay cool. Across the board. Cool. So I'm like, hey, no, wait, not just crossplay and cross progression.
Yeah, so you can basically play on whichever one you want.
Bobby will thank you as well because he'll be like, "Oh, you've paid $160 to play my game on 2 platforms? Oh yeah, dude, I'll write your name on my yacht."
Yeah,
I'll have a little notepad with your name on it.
He'll look at your picture while he's jacking off. That's what he fucking does. Like whenever people spend lots of money, he has a list of all the whales in the game, and he just fucking pleasures himself while he reads the list. Because that's what Bobby Kotick does. He's a
fucking
cunt.
Piece of shit.
But no, I'm really looking forward to. Well, there's so many games I'm looking forward to, but I am looking forward to Diablo 4, and I'm very excited for the future of Dragonflight.
Yes,
because. Unlike in Diablo 4, Dragonflight actually really looks very good. Dude, plays very good. So much fun.
Like I'm gonna tell you, I had half a mind to just go like, maybe I'll just tell Accolonn I can podcast today so that I can play a little bit of WoW before I have to go to the doctor. Like dude, it wasn't even gonna be that much. I was gonna be like, I just want to put in a couple, just want to go in there, kill a couple of hordes, be happy before I have to, because I have to go to the doctor like the second we stop recording.
Fuck. Don't even fucking start with me, bro. I have to literally. We have half an hour left, right? So me and chat quickly have to go through the announcement with Metzen, and then I have to switch off because my power goes out. And then when I get back tonight, with the 4 hours that I have available, I have to edit and make thumbnails and everything for the videos there. And then my power goes out again. And then my Friday's over.
Great.
It's lovely. I can't fucking wait.
But anyway, on that note, we're going to be because I do have to leave like literally right now to go to the doctor. Otherwise, I'm going to miss my appointment. So thank you all very much for watching. It ended up being a lot longer. We thought it was going to be a short one because of your South African government, but we went long.
Yeah, but my load, I was supposed to be load shedding 6. They moved it to load shedding 4 because I'm in Cape Town. But yeah,
but it's going to be 4. It's going to be a fucking nightmare to do the timestamps because I have 3 fucking files from Accolonn. It's going to be great. Okay, so you guys better appreciate all these fucking timestamps and hit the like button and subscribe to Accolonn's channel as well. Links in the description. And we'll see you in the next one. Yeah. Stay strong. Stay safe. Peace out.
Peace.